It's time for Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Scoresworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours, and a lot to get into today. Really busy day in the basketball world as the Lakers finally have a head coach and a lot of other NBA news out there as we continue to get closer to the NBA draft next week. Only 6 days away from the draft. So we'll talk a lot of NBA today. We'll have to talk some Tiger news today as well. Greg Gaston will join us later in the show to talk that. We'll have to talk some college football as well, Major League Baseball, a ton to get to over these next 3 hours. But, Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well, Brian. I'm not here to crush the J.J. Redick hiring. Are you?
No. I mean, I like J.J. Redick just fine, so I have no issues with it.
I like the out-of-the-box nature of it. Again, I ended up being wrong in the end, but I was for it, and I liked it when the Cardinals went Mike Matheny,
sure,
and that was replaced Tony La Russa.
That's right.
After a World Championship. Mm-hmm. I was all for it. They've, out there in that non-coaching resume, they've hit about as often as they failed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I would love to know exactly the rate on it. Steve Kerr's the big hit.
Of course.
The big, gigantic hit. There's others that have failed.
Definitely. I mean, there's definitely a list of...
I wouldn't say Mark Jackson failed.
No, I wouldn't either.
He just didn't win a championship.
Sure.
He had it set up pretty good.
He did.
For Steve Kerr.
Sure. And so now, I mean, J.J. Redick will join that group of players turned NBA coaches, and, we'll see what he's got. And, still very weird how this whole story played out of the Lakers are zeroing in on J.J. Redick, then no, it's Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley turns it down right back to J.J. Redick. And even yesterday and earlier this morning, you started seeing some odds go out there of J.J. Redick being the leader for the Detroit Pistons job that we talked about a lot yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to bite that one off.
No. Well, and
if I've never been a head coach.
When that's the thing is I said first when J.J. Redick was kind of the first name out there that I would love to see J.J. Redick be in the NBA. Don't know if that's the situation I want to go into with the Lakers being how big that franchise is with everything that kind of comes with it. But also I think I'd rather have the Lakers than the Detroit Pistons and kind of what that franchise has been in recent history. That does not seem like a fun job to take over as a head coach.
And J.J. Redick's ultimate success or lack thereof, guess what it's tied to? And it'd be tied to if they had hired Red Auerbach.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
LeBron.
Well, yeah, of course.
How it ends for LeBron.
Sure. And that's going to be the big thing.
Does it end in a finals appearance? Does it end in a championship?
Mm-hmm.
One of the beauties of Steve Kerr is he had the good sense to tell his good friend Phil Jackson no in New York in the Knicks.
Yeah.
He had Knicks or Warriors.
That's right.
I would say he made the right choice.
I would say so too, yeah.
I don't know if J.J. Redick had quite those choices, but I wish him well.
I do too.
I don't think it's terrible. Now, as I said yesterday, mostly joking. Today, a little more serious. Please don't insult my intelligence at the press conference and say this is the only person
That's right.
we offered the job to and the only one we interviewed and the only one we ever wanted.
Sure.
And he's the end-all, be-all, and will be the next great Laker coach.
And that's the thing is we always talk about it.
Because we know they wanted Hurley.
Right. We always talk about you can very easily use that card a lot of times.
That's college garbage.
Sure. And you can use it even, in professional leagues because a lot of times, you don't have all the information on when guys interview and stuff like that. But when it was so big with Dan Hurley and kind of the life that became of Dan Hurley maybe going to the NBA, I don't think you can play that card. If you do, shame on the Lakers for even thinking anybody would buy that.
I think they can, with a straight face, say this is the only guy we wanted other than Dan Hurley.
Of course, yeah. And I think that's very clear if you look at it. I mean,
and that's okay.
Sure. And I mean,
and we don't know what kind of pro coach Dan Hurley would have been.
No, not at all. And but definitely, I think you can certainly say that. I don't think that's a bad thing to say when you look at all the reporting. It was very clearly J.J. Redick was in the lead, or at least had a good spot in the running. Dan Hurley became the front runner, and then he said no, and then right back to J.J. Redick. I mean, it's very easy to say. And so I'm excited to see what J.J. Redick can do. I think J.J. Redick is a really smart basketball mind, and it will be interesting to see what this offseason now looks like for him as he puts together his staff and gets ready for next season, and then what that Lakers team will look like under him.
And he's got a tough job. That spotlight, it burns really bright, and it sure does with LeBron James. Now toward the end, we know there's a lot less ahead of him than behind him. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he may play 2 or 3, 4 more years, but I can't see much past that. If he gets into the Tom Brady years, I'll be stunned. We know Rob Pelinka led the search, don't we?
Yes.
One-man band? With consultation with the ownership?
Pretty much a one-man band, yeah.
So Rob Pelinka, in effect, did what I think the great ADs in college do at hiring time.
Okay.
He had a guy, he had an option that he more or less knew would say yes.
Sure.
In J.J. Redick. Mm-hmm. So I got my guy that's going to say yes almost no matter what. Mm-hmm. Let me go whale hunting a little bit. Let me try just to see if I can get
sure.
Sure. The big one. Mm-hmm. Throw it out there, cast about. Mm-hmm. Looks like it got really close with Hurley.
It certainly did.
The courtship with Mrs. Hurley.
Yeah.
He said, no, okay, we hired J.J. Redick.
Sure.
I got my guy.
Yeah.
And I think the great college coaches have that proverbial 2 or 3 names, whether it's coaching carousel time, some affectionately like to call it Jimmy Sexton season,
there you go.
Around Thanksgiving. They have 2 or 3 names, and one of those 3 names, this guy's going to say yes.
Definitely.
He's not turning this job down. But just see if this one would be interested.
No harm in it.
Probably not running your price up too much on the guy that you know is going to say yes. May a little.
Sure.
Just for his own pride. But you got him, so go out there and try to get a big fish.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. And Woj has been reporting all of this stuff about J.J. Redick.
So Woj won the battle.
It feels like Shams. It definitely seems that way.
Woj won. Shams 0.
How about that? I would love to see like a full count of what the record is between Woj and Shams. But he quote tweeted.
And I bet they're buddies.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Laughing all the way to the bank.
Exactly.
And good for them.
100%.
They're really good at their jobs.
Absolutely. But he quote tweeted his original post about how J.J. Redick has agreed to a 4-year contract to become the next Lakers head coach. Interesting already, because the first thing I wanted to know was how much money, especially after the Dan Hurley thing. And like you said, maybe driving that price up just a little bit.
Money in there?
I haven't seen anything. Maybe there's a story out now that says the money. But it is interesting. It was reported it was going to be 6 years for Dan Hurley, 4 years for J.J. Redick. I don't think there's anything too much to look into that. But he quote tweeted it and said, Pelinka became sold on Redick's ability to connect with players and his basketball IQ and believes surrounding him with an elite coaching staff will help to shorten the learning curve into his first coaching job, sources said. I absolutely believe that, and that's got to be step one for him of getting this staff. You've got to get veteran coaches, guys that know this business of the NBA around him to kind of help with that learning curve.
You got to have an enforcer.
You got
to have a loud voice.
Exactly.
Because it can't always be LeBron.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Now, you have LeBron as the ultimate locker room sheriff.
Of course.
Maybe the sheriff of all time. Sheriff, general manager, a lot of hats.
That's right.
Sometimes in play calling, in alignment stuff. I'm not pulling against J.J. Redick. I don't know that I'm necessarily pulling for him, but I'm not pulling against him. No. I don't want to see this flop.
No, not at all. But I think you're right. I mean, you kind of mentioned something that I think is big, especially
if
when
he does, we'll enjoy it.
Sure,
it's the Lakers.
Sure. But
that goes with their territory.
Definitely. Just like the in-season tournament banner.
And like you get with Cowboys.
Sure. Oh, of course.
It's a gigantic target.
It is what it is. I understand the assignment now.
I referenced yesterday with the Yankees. I did it in crunch time. They've bought their postseason ticket this year.
Right.
They're set. The Yankees are going to be in that postseason bracket, aren't they?
Yeah.
Long time between now and the next important game, and it doesn't matter to them, but the whole country, if you're not a Yankees fan by then, will be pulling against them.
Of course.
It goes with those pinstripes.
But I think, you mentioned it when talking about him kind of putting together this coaching staff. I think if you're J.J. Redick, and it might be hard to do, is you have to build a coaching staff around you, obviously for the right now, but also for the post LeBron James era of the LA Lakers.
That's a great point.
I think if you succeed,
They have to start thinking
they've
about
got
life
to.
after.
Because I mean, Brett, how
That's a great point.
many years would you say left with LeBron? If you just had to guess, I know
I'd
we
say
obviously
shorter
don't
than
know.
JJ Redick's contract.
Exactly. And so I think when you're putting together your coaching staff, you're viewing this of these are guys I want to stay around me and guys that I want to be around me as we succeed. And you've got to be thinking further than LeBron. And because when LeBron leaves, it's going to be a rebuild. I mean, you're maybe not a full rebuild. We're talking about the Lakers at the end of the day, but it's going to be retooling. It's going to look a lot different. And so you've got to get guys in there that know how to build a roster and know how to do that in the NBA.
Over under the 4-year contract, Z, coach, over it or under it with the
Oh,
Lakers?
jeez. I'm going to go under just because I've seen how short those leashes are for previous coaches.
I'm going to go over for that exact reason.
Okay.
I think they've got to change that paradigm.
Well, that's a good point.
That image of chewing through these coaches, we got to get with somebody and stay with them.
Got to. Get somebody longer than a year and a half.
It's like the guy married 4 or 5 times.
It really is.
Might be on you.
It really might be. So I mean, I'm glad we have an answer for this, and that's one head coaching job down.
A big one.
Definitely a big
3
one.
openings now.
Yep, and we'll see. I think Cavs is probably next, if I had to guess.
In Washington.
Then Washington, and probably Detroit.
Always takes a while.
It does, and
Even
late,
in good-
late to the party.
Even in good times.
You're right. And now just firing their coach on June 19th, it's going to be
I'll bet you it doesn't go unoccupied.
No, definitely
Somebody
not.
wants it.
Certainly. And I actually saw something interesting.
And I failed not to make that point, Bryant, in those two or 3 days, led by college football people, led by Pete Thamel. That it was the end of time for college sports.
Right.
With Dan Hurley going to the NBA. Well, he didn't. None of them wrote a retraction.
Right.
None of them wrote that, well, maybe it isn't so bad at college these days. And I failed to make that point during that. Is if he does, you kind of get a coach.
Of course.
Somebody's going to take that.
Absolutely. Very quickly, I would say.
It's like people talking about, oh man, it's so tough now to hold and run for public office. Man, what it does to your family, it's just so bad, and it's so mean out there. I don't see any of those offices unoccupied.
No, always somebody in there.
Somebody wants
That's right. You're absolutely right.
Oh man, being a federal judge now, you know it's so much. You know, there's so many crazies out there threatening you.
Right.
There's not any openings.
No, not at all.
There's somebody who'll take that federal judgeship tomorrow.
No, you're absolutely right. But it's interesting. You talk about the Detroit Pistons and obviously looking for a new head coach, but a new general manager. A lot of things are changing over there. I saw this report last night from a reporter in New York that covers the Brooklyn Nets. The rumors are
Evan, was it?
It was not. No. This is I think. This guy, I think, runs a blog for the Brooklyn Nets. It says the rumors are real. Detroit Pistons will make a big push for Nick Claxton, and hearing $25 million AAV is on the table. I like Claxton and might be wasted on the current roster in Brooklyn. So it sounds like their new general manager in Detroit is trying to come in there, change a lot, take a lot of swings, but now. And you're starting to see some people pick that up. If they go out and get Nick Claxton, it's a lot of. I already talked about it yesterday,
They've
Brett.
got a lot of talent.
It's a lot of centers on that team, Brett, and one of them, local ties.
Sure.
Team here needs a center, Brett.
Sure does.
I mean, maybe Jalen Duren becomes available for the right price, and
I'd love it.
you go out and get him, and then you don't have to worry about a center in the draft.
Okay, was I nuts when I compared him to Kevin Garnett?
Brett, I honestly don't know if I disagree with it. He's a freak. Kevin Garnett was a freak.
I loved him here.
Yeah.
Didn't initially learn to in that year.
Yeah.
By the end of that year, just seeing him, it looked so different.
Oh yeah,
than
he's incredible.
Anybody else. I mean that size, that agility. Only thing, and I haven't had anybody tell me differently. I wonder how much it burns him.
Yeah.
People here, I don't think, got to know him good enough in that 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean, does he want to be Kevin Garnett?
That's a good question. I don't know.
If he ever gets a 18, 20-foot jump shot,
man,
it won't be fair.
No, it won't. But a great player, and I was kind
Still
of
a little gangly
sure.
and wild. I mean, he'll grow into all that.
And that's was kind of my biggest thing of him making the jump from college to the NBA is okay. It might take him some time to figure out the NBA, but it was very quick for him. I mean, he picked it up very fast and has played really, really well. So
I would say in the Penny coach years, I know my three favorite players: Jeremiah Martin, 1, Kendrick Davis 2, Duren 3.
It's a good list.
That's mine. Easy.
Yeah, that's a really good list of guys. So and that's gonna be interesting. Like I mentioned, 6 days till the NBA draft. It'll be interesting to see what all these teams do, including the Grizzlies. That rumors are out there that they've been trying to move around
I'll
and make
Precious
trades.
2 or 4.
That's another good one. I don't think you could argue with that. That's a really good list. But we'll talk to Keith Smith later about all of this NBA news and other draft things when we talk to him at 4 o'clock. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Bill Bender, our friend from the Sporting News, will join us to talk some college football. How about that? It's like it's fall.
Is it October?
I mean, it feels like it. No, it does not feel like it outside. Actually, summer solstice today, longest day of the year, Brett. It's officially summer. How about that?
Does that mean it starts to get hot now that it's summer?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what
I think
it
so.
means?
I believe so. So we'll talk some college football with Bill in our next segment. 3:45, we'll talk the NBA draft. Like I mentioned, more and more information coming out, a lot of rumors of what could happen before or on draft night. And now, and I have to say it every time so I don't forget, a 2-day process this year for the NBA draft, Wednesday and Thursday. 4 o'clock, we'll talk to Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. A ton to talk about in the NBA. We've got to crown the Boston Celtics with him.
Parade tomorrow.
Is it really?
Million people in Boston expected.
Man, it's going to be a good scene there tomorrow for sure. We'll have to talk a lot of NBA offseason
That means
news
the mall
now.
in Boston will be really crowded.
Oh, for sure. That mall that we couldn't figure out if it was actual
Boston
mall or
Mall,
not.
yeah.
That's right. 4:30, we'll talk some baseball. It's the big night tonight, Rickwood Field, between the Cardinals and the Giants.
Did you see the game notes?
I saw it. I've been peeking at it on your computer. That's really cool.
St. Louis Stars versus the San Francisco Sea Lions.
Wow, that's awesome. I saw Mason Wynn and Brendan Donovan did a press conference earlier, and the jerseys looked really good. So I'm really excited for that, but we've also had a lot of day action today. So we'll talk a lot of baseball at 4:30. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston will join us to talk the Tigers, and a lot to get to when it comes to Tiger athletics, AD search, Tiger basketball, Tiger football, a lot of news coming out. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Summer is here, and it's time to party. 24-foot above-ground pools for $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and robotic cleaners, 20% off. Select in-stock patio furniture, up to 50% off. Play gyms, up to $1,000 off, and patio umbrellas, 20% off. Also, 4-person hot tub, only $29.99. And don't forget about the discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while supplies last. So head over to Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
As you said it, with Family Leisure, summer is here for this Thursday, June 20th, 2024. Summer's here. He's Bryant. I'm Brett. We're Sports Time, and we're with you until 6 o'clock. We want you to be a part of it at 901-360-8255. That's the text and talk line, 901-360-8255. And all our guests, like Keith Smith and Bill Bender and Greg Aston, will all appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line, just like the talk and text line. The guest line brought to you by the great people at Sissy's Log Cabin. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. You can call them at 901-334-9673. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, it's got to be J.J. Redick to be the next head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. About 3 weeks, a month ago, we thought it would be done way back then because the reporting from Shams over at the Athletic looked like it was starting to wind down and that J.J. Redick was going to be the guy. But then out of nowhere, Woj throws in a Woj bomb. Here comes Dan Hurley, and now we have to wait. But now J.J. Redick going to be the head coach of the Lakers. Has been with ESPN for a while now after playing 15 years in the league. Will be interesting to see how he does with the Lakers. It's obviously not an easy job, but I mentioned it earlier, and we saw Woj tweeting out. Rob Pelinka said it as well. I think J.J. Redick's basketball IQ is up there. I mean, he is a very smart guy. I mentioned it, when we were first talking about J.J. Redick in the hunt of this new podcast that him and LeBron were doing, which everyone's now pointing to of that's the reason he got hired by the Lakers.
Continue?
Great question. I mean, certainly they'll be closer now and they'll be able to do it more. But I only watched the first podcast of that, but just the basketball schematics they were talking about, the different things, it was really fun to listen to, and you could just tell both of them just had such a great knowledge of the game of basketball. So now we'll see. We know with Dan Hurley, it was a 6-year, $70 million contract that he turned down. This one will be for 4 years for J.J. Redick. We don't know the amount of money he'll make on this deal just yet, but I did see this over on ESPN in their breaking story. Over on the side, it has ESPN stats and information. No experience required. J.J. Redick has never coached at the NBA level, either as a head coach or assistant. Other notable former players to achieve the feat include Redick's former head coach, Doc Rivers, who is the only one to win a title, and obviously that was with the Celtics. Some other notable names that he now joins: Jason Kidd, who started with the Nets in the 2013-2014 season, Mark Jackson, who you referenced earlier in the 2011-2012 season, Doc Rivers, and Larry Bird with the Pacers in 97,
Larry Bird was a good
98.
coach.
He was a good coach. So it's going to be interesting. Only time will tell, but he'll definitely have the spotlight on him being in Hollywood with the Lakers.
And Larry Bird was definitely a superstar that became a good coach. I think the biggest thing that sent Bird away from coaching was the travel and his back.
Yeah.
And with any travel, anything like that, Phil Jackson, his back kind of did him in. Remember they'd roll in that big lounger for him.
Oh, yeah.
For all the games. My top story, Tennessee versus Texas A&M in the College World Series. The best 2 out of 3 starts on Saturday, first time ever for the Texas Aggies, first time since 1951 for Tennessee to be in the College World Series finals. Let's go back to 1951. You want to?
Maybe.
General Neyland was in his next to last year as football coach at Tennessee in 1951.
Ooh.
They went 10-1 that year, lost to Maryland in the Sugar Bowl. One of his stars, Hank Laricella, was the runner-up for the Heisman that year to Dick Kazmaier from Princeton. Another star was Doug Atkins on the football team.
Wow.
And he also played on the basketball team, and his teammate was Tennessee announcer now in basketball, Burt Bertelkamp's dad.
Wow.
1951, the late, great Pat Summitt, not even born until 1952.
Good Lord.
That's how long 1951
It's a long time,
was.
Brett. Wow, that's crazy.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, we talked about it yesterday during What's Trending. I talked about it yesterday with what I could have done without. I talked about it earlier today with Johnny Radio. But it's going to happen, so we all just need to get ready for it. And I feel like the more I talk about it, the more I can be okay with it, I guess. The NCAA tournament is going to expand.
We can't fight it. It's bigger than us, Brian.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to fight it. They'll either expand.
While these airwaves are powerful, we can't stop them.
No, we cannot. And I think I view what's going to happen very similar to what's happening with the college football playoffs. I think they'll first start with adding 4 teams, and that will play out for a couple years, and then they'll go to adding the 8 teams that was stated yesterday.
You'll live to see 96.
I'm sure I will. I won't be happy about it then
Give
either.
me a salute that day. You know I won't like it.
I will. No, I won't like
Please
it either.
call it the Josh Pastner bracket.
I will, yes. Even if they don't name it that, I will only refer to it as the JP tournament, the coach CJP, excuse me, the CJP tournament. But no, I hate the move. I don't like it. I said I can get behind a second Dayton. But at the end of the day, all of this talk that you see people, this is only going to help the smaller conferences and the smaller teams.
It's about the Big Ten and SEC.
This is going to help those teams. I brought this up earlier with John. One of the teams that missed out on the tournament last year, that was one of the first 4 out last year, was Oklahoma. They finished the season a fine record, I think 20-12 on the season, but they were under 500 in their conference slate, and they only beat the entire season, not just conference play, the entire season only beat 2 teams that made it to the NCAA tournament. Not a tournament team at all. You look at them expanding, even if they expand it to 4 teams, they're in it, and that team does not deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. So I'll eventually be fine with it. Once basketball season rolls around, if they make it official, once we get to that year that will be official, I'll say, okay, more basketball, cool, let's have fun. But I'm not happy about it because I do believe, yes, there are some cases you can make for teams that didn't get out, but especially if they go to 8 teams, there are going to be teams that just flat out do not deserve to be an NCAA tournament team that will be making it.
The push needs to start now. Memphis needs to be that second location.
Yes, and I'm so behind that.
Dayton
I would love
games, Memphis games. We need to be that second location. My not top story, baseball has the stage mostly to itself now until really the Olympics start. Preseason football will start after that, but tonight is big for baseball with eyes on the world on Birmingham and the Rickwood game, and baseball needs to pull this off big. Then they have the All-Star game. We need big markets to show out in this month. It's a critical next 40 days for baseball. A lot of people will peek in that really hadn't watched a lot of baseball this year. Mm-hmm. Then they're going to step out until the fall, until the playoffs.
Yep.
This is a important time for baseball, and we just talked about it longer than Rob Manfred and Park Avenue planned for it.
You're absolutely right, which is a shame because especially when you have an event like this.
Why have the Dodgers-Yankees a few weeks ago? That should have been scheduled in this time.
No, you're absolutely right. That's Major League Baseball for you under Rob Manfred, Brett. Get used to it if you haven't already.
Hand to mouth.
That's right. Yes.
Eat the seed corn.
Yes. Well, I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break, and when we come back, we're talking college football with Bill Bender.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
If you own a business, you know Luttrell Belting keeps you moving. Luttrell has cost-effective belts, conveyor components, and 24/7 on-site service to keep you operating smoothly. Text are just a phone call away at 800-441-8946 or online at LuttrellBelting.com. Luttrell's Memphis plant stocks belting in nearly every size and finish, and if they don't have it, they'll make it. From ordering to selection, fabrication, and installation, your Luttrell sales rep is there for you. Luttrell Belting keeps you moving.
Genesis has the lowest interest rates on the planet because we never stop thinking about it. Zero-interest financing on any purchase for tennis bracelets, 5-star rings starting at only $35 plus. Here at Diamond Stud Earrings, just $115. Don't spread your payments over 5 years. Zero interest. Biggest pendants, bands, rings, and jewelry, and products, watches, leggings, held back now for $230 only at Genesis Diamonds. Approved credit, see store for details.
Everyone loves home improvement. South Haven Supply and Warehouse 51 makes it easy. A real hardware store run by 3 generations of a real hardware family where you can get it on. Whether it's repairs, remodeling, or new building, kitchens, bathrooms, tiles, tubs, vanities, sinks, mirrors, lighting, furniture, even door hardware. All the latest designs as well as timeless classics. And if outdoor fun is on your mind, they have the big green egg and accessories. South Haven Supply and Warehouse 51, 8560 Highway 51. Easy home improvement.
Cue the fireworks and celebrate Independence Day with the Omaha Steaks 4th of July sale. Save 50% off site-wide and fire up the perfect backyard cookout with tender steaks, juicy burgers, deli-style franks, and more family favorites. Shop today at omahasteaks.com and score an extra $30 off when you use promo code SIZZLE at checkout. Plus, every purchase is backed by their unconditional money-back guarantee. Hurry, because this offer won't last long. That's omahasteaks.com. Promo code SIZZLE at checkout. Omaha Steaks, America's original butcher.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Hi, this is Jay Stovall with Corky's Barbecue. We have been serving up our legendary barbecue for more than 39 years, right here in Memphis, Tennessee. Whether you're dining in, picking up in our drive-thru, or serving our famous barbecue at your office or home, with Corky's Party Pack, you are the hit of the party. Barbecue pulled pork, baked beans, coleslaw, barbecue sauce, and buns, starting at only $8.49 per person. And as you know, we send plenty of food. You never have to worry about running out of the store. Hi, this is Jay Stovall with Corky's Barbecue. We have been serving up our legendary barbecue for more than 39 years, right here in Memphis, Tennessee. Whether you're dining in, picking up in our drive-thru, or serving our famous barbecue at your office or home, with Corky's Party Pack, you are the hit of the party. Barbecue pulled pork, baked beans, coleslaw, barbecue sauce, and buns, starting at only $8.49 per person. And as you know, we send plenty of food. You never have to worry about running out of the store.
Joining Brian and Brett now on Sportstime is Bill Bender, national college football writer for the Sporting News, and on Twitter X at Bill Bender. Here's Bill with Brian and Brett.
Bill Bender joins
My
us
day was
now.
just made.
Oh, man, it's good.
Hearing that intro.
Well, I was telling Bill on the phone, I said it feels like we're close to football season.
Please hurry up and get here.
I mean, it definitely does. Bill, thanks so much for joining us. How has your off-season been?
Been good. We've got leaked out some of our off-season content, a little bit of a time at Sporting News, and enjoying our summer. It's hot up here in Ohio, like I'm sure it's really hot down where you guys are, but enjoying it one little bit of a time, knowing that, like that intro got me going a little bit. I know we're getting a little bit closer.
We are, Bill, and I want you to know how much we appreciate you and how much we get out of that content of stuff that you put out for us, all those lists, all the preseason team breakdowns. We use a lot of it. Sometimes we disagree. We think Ryan Silverfield should be higher in that coaching ranking, but we love all the rankings. What was your favorite ranking to do?
I enjoy the coach ranking. It's very difficult.
It inspires a lot of passion.
It does, and I almost think CBS does it a little bit better than I do because it's a list that probably requires you break up the group of 5 guys from the power conference guys in some ways. And then when you get down to that 25, you really try to nail it. It was fun to do this year. I like doing our preseason top 25, and as I'm getting into them today, and we'll run them next week, we'll have bowl projections next week. I'm actually excited to do those because it's a new challenge because I have to pick 12 playoff teams this year. We had talked about that last year, Brett, how hard and how weird it's going to be to do that.
Great. It's going to be so fun. Mm-hmm. Bill, I have said, and so far we have enjoyed this, and I love the run-up to college football. Bill, I'm not so sure the run-up, when everybody's undefeated, the 0-0, is not one of my favorite times of the year because everybody's undefeated, the optimism is so great, and there's no disappointment yet. Nobody's begging for the backup quarterback. Nobody's wanting the coach fired. And now this year you throw in we have to have those teams. With that, who is the SEC team that on Bracket Reveal Sunday will be screaming the loudest? It should have been the 12 best teams. Why did we accommodate all these conference champions? Why did we accommodate a non-Power 5? We're really better. Who's the SEC team screaming the loudest?
Well, I think Georgia, Texas, Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, and Ole Miss, I mean, those 6 teams right there are all in the mix for the playoff spots. And now it becomes a question of how many can get in. I think there could be 4 SEC teams. 3 is a certainty. 4 is a possibility. And it depends on what that strength of schedule looks like. So I really like what they're doing. And those 6 schools are the ones we had ranked. We also had Texas A&M ranked. I hope I'm not leaving somebody out. I don't think I am.
And a lot of those teams don't play each other.
Right, and it comes down to some of the schedule things. Now, what I'm wondering is if we get down to the end of the road here, and will there be a tie with 3 or 4 teams at the top of the SEC, which is entirely possible. So those are the things that you look at, and then who has the strength of schedule. I mean, for me, it's like Georgia. You look at their schedule. Georgia could lose 2 games and still be fine, in my opinion, depending on who those 2 games are. I mean, they play Clemson, Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida. I mean, that's a nice little schedule. And Ole Miss. They go to Ole Miss. That's a loaded schedule.
Yeah, it absolutely is. You also put out the top 25 quarterbacks in college football earlier this offseason. You have Carson Beck, speaking of Georgia, Carson Beck at number 1, followed by Quinn Ewers and Dylan Gabriel. Quinn Ewers with Texas, they're going to be entering the SEC, kind of staying on that same SEC topic. What does year 1 look like in the SEC for both Texas and Oklahoma?
Texas has a tough schedule, but Texas is kind of rolling at the right time, so to speak, right? They coming off playoff appearance, have a really good quarterback room. Sark has recruited well. I really like the stock of that program right now and where they're at. Now, can they handle doing it every week in the SEC versus the Big 12? That's a big question. Not to mention they go to Michigan in week 2.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's probably, in any other year, guys, if we were talking about a 10-win team like Oklahoma, we'd be over the top. But, I mean, they've got Florida and Oklahoma have 2 of the toughest schedules I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And that's a consequence of playing in this super conference environment.
You mentioned Texas in a trip week 2 to Ann Arbor to play defending national champions Michigan. Then the next week, one of the trap games of the year across college football, they play at home in Austin at DKR, but they play UTSA. We know UTSA well in this market because of the AAC and playing the University of Memphis. That will be Jeff Traylor and those fans. It can make them mad, but it's the truth. It's their Super Bowl of all time. For UTSA to be playing UT, that's nirvana to them.
Yeah, and that Michigan game either way, I mean, I think the Michigan game is a little bit of a trap game for Texas because most of the preseason things I'm reading, and I know they're favored and all those things. I mean, Michigan's got a chance in that game. Michigan has still got a lot of defensive talent. They'll be at home. I know they'll run the football. You're counting on that.
I mean, it's Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to quarterback, though, with Alex Orji or Jack Tuttle, whoever they put in there. That's a tough matchup. So I think it's a fun matchup. Anytime you get big brands like Michigan, Texas, on the same field, it's probably the best game in September.
Is that the Jack Tuttle that was at Indiana?
Yeah, he's 7th-year player, and he got
Is
a
that
7th
the Jack
year.
Tuttle I saw in the Outback Bowl against Ole Miss when Penix was hurt?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
That's where we're at. So, there's a couple 25-year-old quarterbacks running around out there. But,
2020, 2024, yeah.
Cool, Brett.
Yeah, no kidding. And he was
wild.
pretty good that day. They didn't ask him to do a lot, and I think he probably could have done more than Tom Allen was asking of him that day. Are you for the conference champions having their designated spot, or did you want 12 at larges?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm kind of do away with the conference championship guy. I know they're not going to, but I just think it. In the SEC and the Big Ten's case, those 2 teams are going to the playoff anyway. Mm-hmm. So you're basically playing for a first-round bye, and you may see them again. I kind of use the NFL model where, if the Bears and Packers both go to the playoffs, they're not playing in a division championship game. It's a tiebreaker of some sort you would have to use. But I do think there should be a reward for the conference championship, and those 4 conference champions will get buys. I'm really excited to dig into these bowl projections. And I've seen a couple out there. Mine probably won't be all that different. But that 5 spot's going to be important because I think in most cases that 5 will play, the group of 5 champions. You know what I mean? They're probably going to catch that team, and that the group of 5 AQ team probably be seeded 12.
Yeah. Talking to Bill Bender, he joins us from the Sporting News to talk college football, and you're talking about you're getting ready to do your bowl projections. I mentioned your quarterback rankings earlier. You had Seth Hennigan, Memphis's quarterback, ranked number 24 in that group. When you look at the Memphis Tigers going into this season, here locally, a lot of excitement with the 12-team playoffs of the possibility of that team making it into the playoffs. What do you see with this Memphis team going into the season?
Well, a good quarterback and the ability to score at a high rate. You mentioned Coach Silverfield. That's a fair point. And ranking high-level Group of 5 coaches on that list is tough. Mm-hmm. I think he was a top 10 Group of 5 coach, maybe top 5-ish. I'll have to go back and look. But, yeah, I don't think we had a Group of 5 team ranked in our top 25, but they're right there. They're probably right there. Boise State's probably right there. The MAC's really wide open this year, and I know some teams will pop in the Sun Belt, but Memphis has an opportunity here. And that's what, as long as they have an opportunity in those conferences to get one of those playoff berths, I don't see them going away from that and doing their own thing. As much as I kind of want it as an Ohio University grad, I wouldn't mind seeing that, but right. I don't think it's going to happen.
Bill, I think the quarterback play across the country may be at the peak level of all time in college football. There are a lot of really solid quarterbacks. I think Carson Beck's at the top. If I had to pick a preseason Heisman Trophy winner, I would start with him. Is there anything we can do about it, or is it just the natural flow where the water runs? Has the Heisman Trophy just become the best quarterback in the country trophy?
Yeah, but I mean, Travis Hunter was in the discussion last year. There's a lot of talk in here about Caleb Downs in Alabama or Ohio State.
Especially if he plays two-way.
Yeah. Yeah, that talk about him playing a little bit of running back yesterday made some attention, and I think he could be one of those guys that could make it interesting. Ollie Gordon would have to, the running backs, I always play the math game with them. I was like, pretty much have to break Barry Sanders' record or Melvin Gordon's record. Barry Sanders' record. Melvin got close to get to New York.
And Ollie Gordon probably would have to go for 250 or so week 2 against Arkansas.
Yeah.
Right. And Jaden Daniels won it last year, and he had a great season. But a lot of that was statistical based. There's no question. I think the easiest path to the Heisman is to be a dual threat quarterback who you run for around 1,000 yards, you pass 3,000 yards, you get 40-plus touchdowns.
A lot of highlights.
You're probably going to win the Heisman
Saturday night late. Yeah, that's how you do it.
That's absolutely right.
And I saw the game, I think, that launched Jaden Daniels' Heisman candidacy.
You sure did.
And it was a loss to Ole Miss. But that night, Bryant can attest, I walked in Monday, and I said, I've seen Tebow, I've seen Cam, I've seen Bryce Young, I've seen Johnny in Oxford. I think I just saw another special one like that in Daniels.
Right. And then if there's a receiver that pops this year that has an unbelievable year, and Devontae Smith was able to do that, but it's so rare. And I think you have to, if you play another position, wide receiver, running back, defense, I think you have to do something else almost. Even Devontae Smith had to return a couple punts just to have a couple signature moments that helped him win the Heisman that season.
Yeah, and he needed Waddle to go down that year to get all those numbers.
Yes, and that didn't hurt. Yeah, I mean, because early in the season we were talking about Jalen Waddle being the Heisman winner. There's no doubt. So, yeah, I mean, it is a wide open award. It's one, as you guys know, we vote on every year, and I take it very seriously. And I'll say this, since I've voted, I think the only one, this would be since the last 10 years or so, the only one I didn't vote for the winner, and I'm not, you can make your own vote, whatever, but I voted for Tua the year Kyler won it, and I still think I was right.
Yeah,
I voted for Mac Jones the year Devontae Smith won, and I still think I'm right because of Mac Jones got those numbers. Devontae Smith wouldn't have if Jalen Waddle had been healthy.
Right. So, I mean, it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah,
and
it is.
It's a process.
And an honor.
And an honor, of course. So, that's something that we're going to see. I think Shedeur Sanders is interesting, because he's so high on draft boards, and he does have awesome numbers. He did that in
the number of wins will
running
come
game.
in. You've got to win a certain number of games. They're not giving it to a quarterback on a 6-16.
No, not at all.
No, I agree. But if they were to make it interesting in the Big 12, and there's some sleeper quarterbacks in the Big 12, Jalen Daniels would be another one that if he stays healthy for Kansas, he's one of those guys that kind of has that formula of, he can put up those kind of numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's going to be fun. This run-up is a lot of fun before the season starts. And, Bill, as always, thanks so much for joining us.
We won't bother you again until it's for real.
That's right.
Well, we'll see you guys soon. It'll be here before you know it. You know that. Enjoy the rest of your summer, and I'll see you guys around media days. Thanks so much.
You got
Thanks,
it, Bill.
Bill.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Bill Bender with Sporting News. Fun to hear his voice.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I mean,
took the temperature outside down.
Oh,
about
sure
20
did.
degrees,
Well,
didn't it?
I told him when I got on the phone with him, I said, Bill, it feels like we're getting close to football season when I hear your voice. And then the intro made it even more. I mean, that was great.
He's poured out the content in the
Sure
offseason, and he's ready for the year.
Yeah.
Last night he tweeted he was at Progressive Field at
How about
Cleveland.
that? Wow. So,
I bothered him during action.
oh man, against the M's.
Yeah.
Shame on you, Brett.
Good series.
It's been a really good series. I'm glad he was able to go get some baseball action in. But yeah, I know he's just as excited as we are for the college football season. Let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we got to start talking about the NBA draft. Only 6 days away. A lot of rumors about what the Grizzlies could do before or on draft day. So let's get to a break. When we come back, we're talking the draft.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
June. It's wedding season.
It is.
Or as I like to call it, Free Central Barbecue Month.
Who's what?
Well, not that I don't enjoy weddings. I do, especially the ones that I can tell are going to be a disaster. But what I love about weddings is that so many people choose Central Barbecue to cater the food at the reception.
You root for marriages to fail?
Not exactly root. I just enjoy drama and free barbecue. I like to sit there and enjoy my plate of Central Barbecue with beans and slaw and wait for things to blow up.
At the reception?
Ideally. I mean, I won't be around to see it otherwise. Plus, Free Central Barbecue.
All 650 acquisition fee, Telluride RG 510849, MSRP 38305, Forte LXS RE 780 169, MSRP 21820. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 6/30/2024 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Hey Jeff, I hear you've got the Kia Summer Sticker Sales event going on right now at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah. Give me some scoop.
Randy, the scoop is I'm ready to put you in a new Kia for less. 2024 Kia Forte LXS 41 MPG Highway, $199 a month. $34.99 do it signing. How about a 2024 Kia Telluride LX 357 a month? $39.99 do it signing, 24-month lease.
Plus 0% for 48 months on 2024 EV9. And every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah.
Gossett Kia South, 2680 Mount Moriah, or online anytime. KiaMountMoriah.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on the shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding and a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Granger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, clickgranger.com, or just stop by. Granger, once you get it done.
Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg. East Memphis Steaks. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill. All with a lifetime warranty. Ready to cook in only 15 minutes with good temperatures from below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between. Change your at-home cooking experience for life with our unmatched raw egg wood-fired grill flavor that has our customers
It's the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event. It's going strong at Gossett Kia on the Pike. Are you ready to ride in your new Kia with 41 MPG Highway? We Gossett. 2024 Kia Forte LXS. $199 a month, $34.99 to a signing. How about 282 miles of EPA estimated range with new 2023 Kia EV6 Win? $249 a month. And 2024 Kia Telluride LX 357 a month. Both $39.99 due at signing, all 24-month lease. And get peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He's ready to put you in your new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike. Online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All rebates and incentives. Lease includes PF 695, 650 acquisition fee, EV6 561 0964, MSRP 50,200, Telluride RG 510 849, MSRP 38305, Forte LXS RE 780 169, MSRP 21820. Plus finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 6/30/2024 with approved credit dealer stock only.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Starks, Norsworthy, and Brian Gates.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brian and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We're only 6 days away from the NBA draft, and rumors everywhere about what could happen.
Everywhere.
And a lot of them involve the Grizzlies.
All right, let's set it right now. What will be, for us here locally, what's cataclysmic? What is huge on the Richter scale of hitting a 10? What do the Grizzlies have to do next week?
Well, I think for a lot of people, it would be trading up into that top
2 or 3, 4,
probably 4, and getting Klingon. I think that would be the that seems to be
destination Klingon, isn't it?
It feels like it.
Oh, you don't sound. I love it.
I am
now, in the spirit of full disclosure, I love Hashim Thabit.
But you also liked
Walker Kessler.
Walker Kessler. That's right.
That was way down ballot.
It sure was.
That doesn't get you fired.
No, not at all. I mean,
if Walker Kessler had turned into T.J. Lee,
sure,
that I also loved at one time, that doesn't get you fired.
No, not at all.
Klingon bust,
sure.
May not get you fired, but you're forever saddled with it. And Chris Wallace was forever saddled with Hashim Thabit.
For sure.
Never mind the playoff runs. Never mind the core 4. Never mind the great deals to have the best chapter in team history.
Sure.
Never could shake that, and it was not his pick, but he got stuck with it.
Yeah. Well, and for me, I'm just I don't know if I'm more not sold on Klingon because I think Klingon can come in and be a good player. I just think when you look at the team,
he's better than Hashim, isn't he?
He certainly is better than Hashim. I think a lot of people probably thought that before.
Hashim.
Yeah.
On these very airwaves, compared him. Oh God, I can't believe I'm doing this to myself. Compared him to a.
Can't even get it out. You get choked up thinking about it, Brett.
One.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
When you miss badly.
I mean, I guess so. If you're gonna miss, why not?
I missed by like.
Why not shoot for the stars?
Miles.
Well, yeah, it's not great, Brett.
Oh, it was horrible.
Well, here's the thing. When you look at some of the names that are out there, whether it be free agency or trade partners that you could maybe go and get, I would rather have a center that has way more experience when you're talking about this group of Grizzlies right now. Because you got Ja, you got Jaren, you got Dez, and maybe you're saying
you think it's right now team.
Yes, and I think especially with what this draft is, I would way rather go and draft a guy like Ron Holland, who I don't understand why he's slipping so far. I think a good player. I think part of the reason of not being in front of our TVs and in front of our eyes all year hurt him. But I think as a guy that could come in, come off the bench,
we
give
know
you
Castle
minutes.
a lot better than him.
Sure, absolutely.
Holland's better than Castle, isn't he?
I think so. Yeah, and Castle's is much further up on the draft boards
because we watched him for a year, and we watched him in one shining moment.
Right, and so I think when your biggest need is that, and everyone's telling you this is a bad draft.
He wasn't MOP. Newton was MOP.
That's right. Yeah. But, I would way rather get maybe a big, and it doesn't have to be one of these splashy bigs. Like, I think everybody can get behind, like, a middle-of-the-road big, because I don't think you're asking them to do a ton. I think you're just asking them to get rebounds, be a defensive stopper, and that's really all you need. I think you can get that from a guy that's been in the league.
Forever.
It certainly will. I mean, either way they go.
That's the perils of it.
It absolutely is. So, I don't know. I'm interested to see how it is.
So we know status quo for the Grizzlies, just on the nothing meter, is staying at the 9.
Yes.
I don't think that's going to happen.
It really doesn't feel like it because we've talked about it, and I brought it up with Michael a couple times. I don't remember another draft where the Grizzlies have been in this many rumors and reports that they're trying to move. It really feels like they're trying to be aggressive with this draft.
Do you prefer draft or trade deadline?
Oh, I love the draft. I'm a draft guy.
The draft, a lot more smoke around the draft.
Certainly.
And more heat.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I love the draft. So I'm definitely a draft guy. But we'll see. And
trade deadline always disappoints to me.
Sure, and it's always, it always feels like it's very quick. There's always this, build up, and then everything kind of happens real quick, and then it's over.
I like free agency better than trade deadline.
I can get behind that as well. So it's going to be interesting, but I know one guy that will know and have a much better feel than I do on the draft and everything going on beforehand. That's Keith Smith. Plenty to talk about when it comes to the NBA with Keith Smith. So let's get to a break, and when we come back, we're talking NBA.
Out there, but then there's Banyan Tree Realtors on the Cottonville Town Square. There are hands-on, family-owned boutique real estate companies whose agents have been offering exceptional attention to their clients for over 40 years. In an ever-changing world, Banyan Tree continues to maintain a small-town personal charm while providing a worldwide connection through its internet marketing presence. Personal service will never go out of style at Banyan Tree Realtors. Their agents are people you can trust, offering service you deserve. From residential homes to commercial properties, farmland, land lots, and historical houses, Banyan Tree has the expertise you can rely on. So if you're downsizing, upsizing, moving in, or moving on, give Banyan Tree Realtors a call today. Craig Smith and Mary Jean Smith and their agents are ready to serve you. Call today at 901-620-8920 or 901-359-2520.
Hi, folks. The Chevy Sheriff in Collierville with good news for car and truck buyers. Sunrise Chevy has over 500 Chevys available with 9 models that get 30 miles per gallon. GM rebates up to $5,000, and Sunrise discounts high as $10,000. Bad credit? It's okay. You're approved at Sunrise. Immediate financing, top trading, and a $3 million used car inventory specializing in cars and trucks under $20,000. Remember, you can bring your Chevy to Sunrise for service no matter where you bought it. There's always a sale at the Sunrise Chevy Ranch, 385 in Houston Levy. Together, let's drive.
I think a lot about golf, and when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more important, you can book up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from. You'll find the lowest rates on Tuesday through Thursday afternoons. Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
Upgrade her diamond ring this summer with no money down and 0 interest for 5 years. Hi, it's Eric Hasseltine for my friends at Genesis Diamonds. Don't miss this amazing offer from Genesis Diamonds. 5 years, 0 interest financing. Not just on engagement rings, but also on earrings, bracelets, bands, colored gemstone jewelry, and pre-owned Rolex watches. So that luxury pre-owned Rolex Submariner or Explorer starts at only $150 per month. Now through the end of June at Genesis Diamonds on Poplar at Perkins Extended.
Summer's heating up, and so are the savings at Choate's. We've got 3 incredible offers to make your season spectacular. First up, our Grill and Chill with Choate's Summer Special. Upgrade your HVAC system and choose between a free Yeti cooler or a Green Egg grill on select systems. Then power through any outage with Choate's generators. Be one of the first 50 customers to buy a generator and score a massive 75-inch TV or an iPad. Also, don't forget about our tankless water heater offer. Purchase a tankless water heater from Choate's and receive a premium toilet free. Don't wait. These offers are too good to last. Turn to the experts with Choate's and call 347-8086 or visit us online today for your free estimate. Now introducing Choate's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and generators. Choate's, let our family serve your family.
Corky's Barbecue.
Hi, this is James Stovall with Corky's Barbecue. We have been serving up our legendary barbecue for more than 39 years, right here in Memphis, Tennessee. Whether you're dining in, picking up in our drive-thru, or serving our famous barbecue at your office or home, with Corky's Party Pack, you are the hit of the party. Barbecue pulled pork, baked beans, coleslaw, barbecue sauce, and buns, starting at only $8.49 per person. And as you know, we send plenty of food. You never have to worry about running out of food.
Corky's Barbecue.
Hi, this is James Stovall with Corky's Barbecue. We have been serving up our legendary barbecue for more than 39 years, right here in Memphis, Tennessee. Whether you're dining in, picking up in our drive-thru, or serving our famous barbecue at your office or home, with Corky's Party Pack, you are the hit of the party. Barbecue pulled pork, baked beans, coleslaw, barbecue sauce, and buns, starting at only $8.49 per person. And as you know, we send plenty of food. You never have to worry about running out of food.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. MPD is trying to mop up a couple of earlier accidents. It's been a slow go today over here on 240 southbound, just past Norris from an early morning crash that happened. It's had traffic really slow coming out of Midtown. It seems like all day long. We're hoping they're going to get this mess cleaned up. It's busy over here, let's call it that, on 240 East up by Poplar. Hey, 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services right here in the Memphis area. Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show. And on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Keith Smith joins us now from Spot Track and the Front Office Show to talk the NBA. Keith, thanks so much for joining us, and we got to crown the Boston Celtics. Brett and I were convinced that they were going to get it done last Friday night in Dallas. We thought it was going to be a clean sweep. That wasn't the case. They waited till they got back to Boston, won it in 5. What did you make of just this entire season for the Boston Celtics? But then what they did in the postseason, only losing 3 games.
Yeah, there's no really other way to put it other than they were the best team in the league all season long. They started out really well. They went 64-18 in the regular season, absolutely dominant, one of the highest net ratings that we've ever seen in league history, where they were just blowing teams out on a regular basis. And then that carried over to the postseason, where they just ran right through a lot of these teams. They had a couple bad games here and there, and that was kind of who they were all year. They would play really well and then have a bad game once every 6 to 8 games or so, and ultimately in the end they won about 4 out of every 5 games they played. And now you know they're certainly already started celebrate, or I guess haven't stopped celebrating. You're going to celebrate even more tomorrow in Boston.
The celebration will last a long time. Here's the first goofy question of the day. You ready? I'm ready. It won't be 16 years in between the next time the Celtics win it, will it?
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not going to start, calling these guys out as a dynasty or anything, but
me either.
They're bringing everybody back. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to be right back in the mix. They've been in the mix with teams that weren't as good in previous years, and I think they're going to be right back in the mix again next year. Now, you never know. You're going to have the same kind of health. I've been making the point to folks, there's going to be some things that are going to be different. Kristaps Porzingis is probably going to start the season either really being managed, if not, slow start and out to begin the year after having surgery. He said it's going to be a few months long recovery. That means right around the start of training camp. Celtics are also going to open the season earlier than anybody except for the Denver Nuggets as far as camp goes, because they're going to Dubai next season for the preseason. So they're going to be doing a lot of stuff here where there's going to be things that could have them behind the eight ball. But in the end, you've got a really talented roster with just about everybody coming back, and we'll see what they do around the edges, but they should be right in the mix again next season.
What would qualify as dynastic? Counting this one, would it be 2 more over the next 5, so 3 and 6? Would that would count, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think somewhere in the 3 and 5, 3 and 6 range is will kind of get you there, and I think they've got obviously an opportunity to do that. But as we've seen in the NBA, we've had 6 different champions in 6 years. It's hard to repeat in this league because it's one thing to climb the mountain once, but it's hard to climb it again a second time. Now, one of the things, though, that a lot of people have pointed out, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, as a duo, they've been close over the years. Now, what they've been able to do is now they know what it takes, and a little bit of that pressure and stress may be off them a little, and that could actually turn into a good thing where these guys are like, all right, we're not going to get tight anymore. We're just going to play and let it play out. So I'm very curious to see what kind of season they put together next year.
What turns them into the evil empire like Golden State became, like the Red Sox became?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be kind of there because they're going to be extremely expensive. They're going to, as soon as any day now, they're going to offer Jason Tatum a full Supermax extension that'll be about $315 million over 5 years, and that'll be him right up there with with Jaylen Brown just ahead, and that'll be the richest contract until, like I say now, until the next one. So that'll reign there a little bit, but they're going to be very expensive. They're going to do what they can to keep Derek White and Sam Hauser in the fold. So a lot of people are going to look at it and say, man, this team is just spend. But that's what they set themselves up to do. And as a primary owner, Wick Grousbeck has said, we'll get paid back in parades. That's how we're going to look at this. And as long as we have a great team, we're going to do everything we can to keep it together.
On the other side of the Boston Celtics, the Dallas Mavericks, they get to the NBA Finals as the 5 seed. It played so well up until the NBA Finals. What do you see in them going into next season and further? Do we talk about them in the next 2, 3, 4 years getting back to the NBA Finals?
There's certainly a chance. When you have a player as great as Luka Doncic is, you're going to be in the mix most seasons. And Kyrie Irving, very, very good. He's going to be right there with Luka for at least another couple years. And then they've done a nice job building out that roster, and some of their younger guys are going to improve. Derek Lively is going to only get better. There's no, he's already a nice young player, but he's going to end up really, really good. I assume by, at some point next season, if not right out of the gate, he'll be their starting center, and he's kind of an ideal running mate for Luka. And then, they've got nice role players around those guys. Their key will be continuing to put the right guys around Luka Doncic year over year over year, because that's how you got to get better to contend in this league. And I think they've got a chance to do that.
Who's the East team that will be the natural rival to Boston?
I'll give you a couple. I think Milwaukee's going to be right back in the mix next year if they have better health. They just kind of a nightmare season. Things never really came together. So, just the way they wanted to come together, it didn't happen for them, and then injuries at the playoff time, it all really fell apart on them pretty quickly. We'll see what happens with Philadelphia. We're getting reports now they're maybe not so interested in Paul George, and they're looking to build out the roster in a slightly different way. So we'll see what that looks like for the 76ers, but they've got Embiid, Maxey, and a whole bunch of cap space. And then the other teams like the Knicks, the Cavs, the Pacers, the Magic, those teams aren't going to go away. I think those teams are going to be getting better as well. We're in a little bit of a weird offseason where some of the good teams have cap space, and that's a different kind of spot to be in. So I think there's a chance we see a couple of those teams step forward to challenge Boston in the East.
Who's the West team 50 weeks from now Boston doesn't want to play in a finals?
I'm not going to go as far as they doesn't want to play, because I think they would be all right with whoever it was that came came out across them. But Denver's going to be right back in the mix. They're going to be tough. They went out early this year, but I think some of that was championship hangover kind of stuff. So I think we'll be in an interesting position with that. And we're just getting news coming in here. I was going to mention the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we're hearing they're going to trade Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey. Woj just tweeted that out. So the Thunder are, making moves. And now with the Thunder, if that's all that's involved in this, yeah, if that's all that's involved in this trade, the Thunder are in a spot where they're still going to. Now they've got Alex Caruso. They have $35 million in cap space because Caruso and Giddey make roughly the same amount of money. It's a little in favor of Caruso, but they're going to have $30+ million to spend this summer without a lot of roster holes. Like I mentioned, Philly. Philly's got 1 million guys that they got to go sign. They need to fill out a roster around Embiid and Maxey. The Thunder have a really good team. They're no longer kind of an up-and-coming team. They're here. They're good. They are going to be in a position to do big things where it's going to be, hey, we've only got really kind of 1, maybe 2 roster spots to fill. Let's go out and pick off whoever it is we think is the best fit, and let's go get that player.
Wow, well, that's certainly a Woj bomb from Woj. Not the first news he's broken today in the NBA, though, because earlier J.J. Redick is reported by Woj that he'll be the next coach for the L.A. Lakers.
Woj is in late June form.
He sure is. I mean, he knows what time it is. We're right around the draft, Brett. He knows exactly what it is.
It's Woj time.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure, yeah.
So what do you make of J.J. Redick being the next coach of the Lakers? How will that look the rest of the offseason for him, and what will it look like in year 1 with the Lakers?
Yeah, I mean, my first thought is finally, right, that this is done. It's that was my take. We actually, funny enough, front office show, we're in the middle of recording the show. My partner on that show, Trevor Lane, is a big Lakers guy, and that news broke in the middle of our show. So that was kind of a fun chance for us to react to that. But, yeah, I think we are in a spot where we're going to see, really interesting hire there by the Lakers. J.J. Redick's not only has he never been a head coach, he's never been any kind of coach anywhere. So that's going to be something that we're going to watch. I think the reporting, both from Woj and then the follow-up reporting that's been out there, was he's going to try to hire a veteran staff to really help with that transition as he becomes a first-time head coach. And I think that's going to be really key for him. I have no issues. I think he'll have the X's and O's part of the job down and have very little problem transitioning that way. I think what will be very interesting with J.J. Redick is the relationships, the management of the players. What does he do when player X is in a 5-game slump? How does he handle that? How does he work with these guys? That's going to be what's going to be really interesting in watching him learn on the fly there, because as a player, he was known as a very good player, and people generally liked having him as a teammate, but he wasn't always the easiest guy to get along with. So that's going to be something that's going to be worth watching here over the next year or so as he learns on the fly.
He's wound a little tight, isn't he?
Yeah, he can be, for sure. And I think that's a lot of what drove his success, was he had such high expectations of himself and of his teams. And I would expect it would be the same with the Lakers. And that matches because, the Lakers have their expectations are, we're going to win a title. And if we don't win a title, then, that's it, right? So that they're going to be pushing everything that they can to try to do that.
Yeah, they're playing for number 18, and if he gets asked at that presser, what do you ultimately want to do here? If it's anything other than winning at all, they need to fire him on the spot.
Yeah, and he's certainly going to tell them, I know what the expectations are. I'm sure, he shared that in the interview process. I'm sure he'll say that publicly. But, yeah, we're in a very interesting spot.
Yeah. Yesterday, we also got other coaching news with the Pistons firing Monty Williams yesterday morning. We kind of heard the reports. Pistons went out, hired a new general manager, and it was reported that option for him was on the table to go out and fire and make a change at the head coach position if he felt like they needed to do that. They ended up doing it yesterday. What did you make of that decision, and what are some candidates you think will be in play for that job?
I'm not really surprised that that's the direction they went. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that NBA teams make, and really just sports teams in general, but specifically to the NBA, is if they have a disbelief in a player or a coach, there's a lot of times you'll hear well, we just signed him. We have to see it through. We can't move on. And a lot of times, all you're doing then is throwing good money after bad, and you're kind of setting yourself back by just trying to see it through. So I'm not fully surprised they moved on. A lot of times, new front office comes in, they want to go in their direction. I'm kind of maybe connecting the dots a little bit here, but Trajan Langdon came from New Orleans. They announced earlier in the week that they were going to hire Fred Vinson as the top assistant coach. Now, a little weird, you're hiring a top assistant coach as you fire the head coach. So that's a little odd. But James Borrego is out there. Now, he's not getting the Lakers job. We know that. Yeah. Where was James Borrego and Fred Vinson last year?
Charlotte.
They were both with the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah, in New Orleans. So, Borrego coached at Charlotte.
Yeah, he was the head coach previous in Charlotte. But, yeah, he was with the Pelicans most recently as an assistant. So I think we're in a place where you might be seeing Trajan Langdon go to a couple of trusted guys that he's worked with before in Borrego and Langdon to start building that thing back up there in Detroit.
Boy, master of the obvious here. The Duke influence on the NBA, it's real, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, maybe.
Yes,
we'll see. I'm not. I don't know if that's how it'll all play out, but yeah, maybe.
But the
maybe we could be headed that direction.
Well, just off the top of the head, you got Quinn Snyder, you got Redick, you got Langdon running a team. There's a couple others just not coming to mind, but it's a heavy influence.
Yeah, I mean the commissioner's a Dookie too, so they're all over the NBA.
Yeah,
they sure are. Keith Smith, he joins us to talk the NBA from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. Keith, we're 6 days away from the NBA draft, and here in Memphis there have been a lot of rumors, a lot of reports that the Grizzlies have been reaching out to teams that they definitely are trying to move up.
Rumor,
of course, absolutely. What do you think is the most likely outcome for the Memphis Grizzlies 6 days from today on draft night?
I think always the most likely outcome is you sit right where you are and you make a pick. I'm always going to say the most likely outcome in any situation is no trade. That said, I do know, I've heard it too, that they're trying to move up if interested, but they're trying to do a targeted move up. It sounds like they would really like to get Donovan Clingan if they can. Now, we're hearing buzz that he's in play at number 1 overall, and if that's the case, they're certainly not moving up that far.
Right.
That's not going to happen. So we'll see, what that looks like with them, in that spot. So yeah, I think there's a chance if Clingan starts to slide a little bit, Memphis maybe tries to get up the board to try to draft him because he would absolutely fit in perfectly there and fill a hole in that roster in a big, big way.
Keith, nobody with the Grizzlies would admit this. A lot of them want to forget the whole previous regime before the new group took over. But I believe in my heart of heart that they are a little bit jaundiced, a little bit leery of another big man from UConn because so badly burned by Hasheem Thabeet.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that wouldn't be a thing. They're not the same player. They haven't been the same player. I get it. People are going to make their jokes, and the most reactionary people are going to go there. But if we're going to do that, then it starts to become a little silly in my mind. Of we can't let past things like that hold over us that way. Donovan Clingan's a very different player than Hasheem Thabeet. He's a far better player than Hasheem Thabeet was, and he's got more upside than Hasheem Thabeet had at the time. But I get where you're coming from, but I would hope people there would not be saying, well, we can't go back to the well on another UConn center because that's how you start missing out on pretty good players.
Hey, one more look back at the finals. For the finals, I don't think it was major. I think the biggest aspect of it was he had better personnel. But I thought Joe Mazzulla got Jason Kidd a little bit. Your perspective on the coach versus coach in the finals.
Yeah, I think Joe Mazzulla, one of the things that he did this whole year was, if we go back to his first season, he was learning on the fly and trying to figure it out and in a tough spot. And I think in probably a lot of ways felt like he was coaching somebody else's team. This year, he came in from day one with a set of, this is how we're going to play. These are our principles on offense. These are the way we're going to play on offense. These are our principles on defense. This is how we're going to play on defense. And he basically said, we're going to go this direction. And I think what happens in this case with Joe Mazzulla is you saw him throughout the course of the year, then in the playoffs and in the finals, really kind of say, this is what we do. We're going to play 5 out. We're going to shoot a lot of three-pointers. We're going to, do these things. If it goes a little sideways on us, we're probably going to get beat. It might look bad, but I'm going to trust the math over the course of time that that's not going to happen, enough times to beat us in a series. And in the end, he was right. And I think that more than anything, his absolute dogged commitment to this is how we're going to do things helped Boston win in a big, big way.
Yeah. Keith, I asked you about the Grizzlies at the draft. Obviously, that's coming up in 6 days. But when you look at this offseason in general for the Grizzlies, what do you think happens? Do you think there are moves? We hear rumors, Luke Kennard could be a guy that they could look to move. Marcus Smart has been a name that has been out there for a while as a guy that they can move. Even this morning, there was a report from a reporter at The Athletic that said the Grizzlies and Rockets have been in talks about a potential trade and that Marcus Smart could be a part of that. What do you see when you look at the Grizzlies going into the offseason?
Yeah, I think they've got some flexibility, especially with those two guys, with Kennard and Smart. I think there's a world where the Grizzlies may say, all right, we don't really want to pick up Kennard's option. It's almost $15 million because that's going to make us really expensive. But what you have to understand with that is you don't have to get under the luxury tax until the trade deadline. That's really your last real chance. So it doesn't matter if you're over the tax early on. Now, it can come with some restrictions for sure in this new CBA. You have some of the things that get put on the teams that are apron teams and the like. So that's going to be something that for sure Memphis has to be aware of because they are in a whole new world as far as being expensive. But I think they may, bring back Kennard in a world where, all right, we're bringing him back, but we're bringing him back as much as a trade chip as we are anything because that's a nice chunk of matching salary. And a similar type thing with Marcus Smart. If they look at it and say, we got by all of last year, not a great year, but we kind of figured some things out. We filled that hole at small forward with Williams and Jackson, who we like moving forward. They may start to move in a little bit of a different direction there with Marcus Smart as well. And those would be guys that you could put into trades because of their salary numbers and start to bring back, some real interesting players. And Marcus Smart to Houston, sure, why not? Ime Udoka's there. He loved him in Boston, and they could use another guard on that roster, so it wouldn't shock me at all if there was some connection there.
It really feels like the Grizzlies and the Rockets are joined at the hip for next Wednesday night.
I mean, yeah, it may be. We'll see. I think a lot's going to depend on what happens. I think in a draft like this, where there's not a Wembanyama, there's not a Zion Williamson, it's a very flat draft. I think what happens in those cases is you end up in a spot where you get a lot of movement because it becomes a beauty is in the eye of the beholder type of draft, where it is, all right, I really like this guy. I don't think he's going to be available 3-4 picks from now when we're up. Let's try to get in there and make a big trade.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that Klingon could be an option at number one. ESPN did a story yesterday, kind of a big mock draft, and in there it talked about how the Hawks have been unable to bring in Alex Sarr, who for so long has been the projected number one pick. They haven't been able to bring him in for a workout. What do you make of that situation? A guy that's been mocked, been projected, that they haven't been able to get him in for a workout.
Yeah, a little odd, and you start to wonder, who is that on? Like, is that Sarr doesn't want to go to Atlanta? Is he trying to control his destination? Or is that the Hawks? Maybe they're not as interested in bringing him in. Or is it something as simple and, it's a scheduling issue and we haven't gotten it done yet? We will in the next few days. Sometimes I know I'm guilty of this too. I find a snippet of news and I go looking for the big story behind it and then realize, oh, that's really all it was? Okay, we're moving on. But, yeah, it is a little interesting that a guy who's certainly in the mix for the number one overall pick is not necessarily, it has not worked out for the team holding the number one overall pick. But teams play smoke screens at this time of year. They do all kinds of crazy stuff. As I've learned over the years, once we head into the offseason, it's Lions season, and everybody's kind of telling you stuff that they think is going to set themselves up best.
Yeah, it's not even head fakes. It's pure lie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, more often than not, you're getting a lot of stuff out here where there's no truth to it at all. I mean, you get teams will tell you, yeah, no interest in this guy, and then they turn around and sign him. And then when you're like, hey, you told me you had no interest, they just kind of shrug and laugh and and everybody knows how the game is played.
Keith, we're short on time. Next week you'll be with us on Friday, as you will be very busy with draft responsibilities and duties. Also this, is Bronny James being well served with all the demands?
To an extent, yeah. I think Rich Paul's trying to take care of a client there. Where now I don't think if the team's interested, I don't think if a team's interested, they're going to move away and say, "Nah, we're not drafting him because we didn't see him." Everybody got to see him at the combine. They know, what it's all about. The big thing they haven't had is a one-on-one chat with him, which is a lot of what these workouts are about. But if the team wants to draft him, they're going to draft him no matter what. But I think he's trying to do what he thinks is best for his client, what his client thinks is his best, and get him to a spot where he wants to be.
Yeah. Well, Keith, enjoy the draft next week. 2 days this year rather than both rounds in one day, and we'll talk to you again next Friday.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, Keith. And congrats to your Boston Celtics on number 18.
That's right. Yeah, it's definitely big, and we'll have the parade tomorrow, which will be a ton of fun. But
should they borrow your parade route?
Is
it applicable for Boston?
I don't think so. Dallas
Different
and Boston,
topography,
I think just very different. I don't think it would. I don't think it would overlap like
in
that.
the off season,
unfortunately.
do you keep the Dallas parade routes in a super high, top secret location?
Of course, Brett. We just like you, Brett. You have all of your notebooks and all of your things that you put.
I get to them all
and when
fast.
exactly, but when a season's over, you put them to the side and you bring in other things. When it's not football season, we put it to the side. Now we keep it in a safe spot. I can't divulge where that is, of course. And then when football season,
only to get that ball?
I mean the whole 9 yards, Brett. And then when football season comes back around, we whip it back out, keep it in the back pocket, just in case we ever need it.
At the ready.
Absolutely, because you never know when you need a parade route. It always comes in handy.
Might get a little dusty.
Well, yeah, it already has gotten dusty, Brett. I hate to say, but no, I am really excited for next Wednesday for the draft.
I think it will be very newsy and pertinent locally.
Yeah, it definitely will be. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we've already got a ton of baseball action today. Also tonight, we've got the game at Rickwood Field between the Cardinals and the Giants. So we're talking a lot of baseball on the other side. Stick with us. You're listening to Sports Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of cashew crunch, of heavenly hash, of turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
All 650 acquisition fee, Telluride RG 510849, MSRP 38305, Forte LXS RE 780 169, MSRP 21820. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 6/30/2024 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Hey Jeff, I hear you've got the Kia Summer Sticker Sales event going on right now at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah. Give me some scoop.
Randy, the scoop is I'm ready to put you in a new Kia for less. 2024 Kia Forte LXS 41 MPG Highway, $199 a month, $34.99 due at signing. How about a 2024 Kia Telluride LX 357 a month, $39.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
Plus 0% for 48 months on 2024 EV9. And every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah.
Gossett Kia South, 2680 Mount Moriah, or online anytime. KiaMountMoriah.com.
Julie and John Boot & Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety toe boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nouveau Lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Times Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot & Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots & Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Getting engaged is one of life's most spectacular occasions. And when you find your ring at Sissy's Log Cabin, the promise of a lifetime begins with our promise to always provide unmatched quality, superior service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Find your dream engagement ring, wedding bands, and more when you shop Sissy'sLogCabin.com or stop by one of our 6 locations. Begin the rest of your life brilliant. Only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Summertime's finally here, and that means it's time to party. Lucky for you, Family Leisure is having a summertime to party sale. Now, what's all included in this party sale? Practically everything. 24-foot above ground pools for as little as $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and even robotic cleaners are 20% off. Come in and look at all of the in-stock patio furniture Family Leisure has. Plus, it's up to 50% off. Play gyms for the kids, that's $1,000 off. Patio umbrellas, take 20% off. You can get a 4-person hot tub for just under $3,000. We know you're really going to just use it for yourself. Family Leisure has discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while the supplies last, so you better get in quick. Plus, Family Leisure has special financing available. Just ask an associate for all the details. Summertime means party time, and Family Leisure is ready for any party. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together.
That's right, Randy. I've got 2024 Ram 1500 Traceman Quad Cab 4-wheel drive, $649 a month.
That is awesome. What else you got, Ronnie?
2024 Jeep Gladiator Sport 4-wheel drive, $659 a month.
That's a hot deal on Gladiator Sport. What else you got?
Get super power in a 2023 Charger RT Skypack, $698 a month. That's $8,600 off MSRP.
So drive past the rest and come to the best at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the bike. Or shop online anytime at GossettMotorCars.com. 75 months, 5,000 down. Ram RN 194282, MSRP 48,595. Jeep RL 116172, MSRP 51,690. Charger PH 612877, MSRP 55,110. Price includes all rebates and incentives and excludes PF 695. Payments include PF 695. All exclude tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Dealer stock only.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still trying to clean up an accident that's been out here since early this morning on 240 southbound right there at 55. That's why traffic's been affected all day long, it seems like, on 240 southbound trying to get past Norris. And that's only going to get worse here in the next few minutes as that rush hour traffic starts to really build down out of the Midtown area. It's heavy over here now on 240 eastbound trying to get past Poplar. Hey, 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services here in Memphis. Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brian Brett with you.
You okay with all those cords?
Yeah, I had to get everything plugged up.
I was afraid you was going to get tied up there for a
No,
second.
I had to. My computer's almost dead. My phone's almost dead, so I had to whip out all cords. Oh, I got so many chargers in that bag.
It's a charger world.
It's ridiculous.
So guess what the lower third T's on PTI is?
Something about Bronny, Brett.
No, it's close. What are the expectations for J.J. Redick with the Lakers?
Of course.
To win it all.
That's right. It's got to be.
If that's not the answer, then why are you hiring him?
Yeah, I mean, that's That's exactly right, and especially when you've got LeBron James there, and we've already said, I mean, it's not a secret that he's gonna be retiring here in the next couple
That's
years. And so I think when you say it all the time, Brett, when you brought LeBron James into the Lakers, you expected multiple championships,
more than bubble,
certainly. And so I think
that's all we have.
Yeah, and so any coach you bring in and hire, yeah. So any coach you bring in and hire, I mean, you have to have those expectations of he's going to be able to get us a championship ring, and so those got to be the expectations.
Tonight will be special for Major League Baseball. What did you think of my not top story about this kind of 40-day run that baseball takes mostly center stage in sports in America?
Yeah, no, I think it's spot on because you look around and with the NBA on, there are going to be a lot more eyes on those NBA games, especially being playoffs, games that matter.
And I know right now the popularity of WNBA.
Absolutely. So all of that is taking eyes away from it. But now with the NBA Finals over, NHL getting ready to be done, obviously we're not quite yet to media days and really the real ramp up for college football, and same with NFL. So you have this window, and I'm with you. I mean, we talked about it last week of, you got Dodgers and Yankees, and you've got this matchup, you've got that matchup, and look at these great series that we're about to have. And yeah, I'm with you. I wish we could have, slid that over and had that during this time, because I think a lot more people want to see, the Dodgers versus the Yankees, even than the Yankees and the Orioles. I know we love the Orioles. They're a good team, but more people, regular casual viewers, want to see those big name teams playing each other.
Yankees, Red Sox.
Yankees, Red Sox. Another good one, yeah.
A lot of the bigger markets could be for a sport that a long time ago, that was once, no doubt, America's pastime.
Mm-hmm.
They barely get this spotlight very often.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're definitely right about that.
This period, and then the next time a lot of people will tune in after we go to the Olympics and preseason football and everything that brings on college football coverage in August, it will be for playoffs.
Oh, absolutely.
And it won't be that wild card round. It'll be more LCS into the World Series. But that is such a crowded time because then you have the start of the NBA. You have the start of hockey. You have full force college football, NFL, and even college basketball getting ready to tip off.
Well, and that's always the problem when you get to those big time playoff games in Major League Baseball is you're trying to find enough screens, and I got to watch this college football game. I got to watch this game, and exactly plenty of Chargers. So no, it's good. I'm glad they're having this game tonight at Rickwood Field. That will be a lot of fun, and on Fox we'll get a ton of viewers and people interested in that. So that'll definitely be fun tonight.
In the Cardinal game notes, it lists the St. Louis Giants and or the St. Louis Connection, the Stars, and the San Francisco Sea Lions, the Giants.
Yeah.
Here are the players that those teams, the Cardinals and the Giants, produced that went into the National Baseball Hall of Fame from the Negro Leagues. Ben Taylor with the Giants, Biz Mackey, Oscar Charleston. For the Cardinals, the Stars, Cool Papa Bell, born in Starkville, Mississippi, Mike Wells, and Mule Suttles.
Wow.
Boy, I bet a guy named Mule was tough.
Oh, I'm sure. You got to be.
Don't mess with him.
No, don't mess with Mule. Absolutely not. No, I looking over there, and I haven't actually taken a look at the game notes, but the top of it, kind of the way it's laid out, looks good, and so I'm sure there's a lot of good nuggets in there with how big of a game it is tonight.
It really is. The Cardinals have played exhibition games at Rickwood back to 1923.
Wow. That's incredible.
Notable Cardinals then, Rogers Hornsby, Jim Bottomley, played again in 31, 33, twice in 33, once in 1937, once in 1939, once in 1954, and played the UAB Blazers in 1981.
How about that? UAB, the Americans, stand up.
That was Cardinal featured players that year: Jim Cott, Bruce Sutter, Gary Templeton, Keith Hernandez, George Hendrick, Tommy Whitey Herzog wanted to play UAB to help their coach and their friend and baseball legend, Harry the Hat Walker.
That's awesome. I had no idea. That's fun.
And there was a time Birmingham was distinctly
Sure.
Cardinals country.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
The whole South, Atlanta
Sure.
was the AAA team.
How about that?
Way back when, and I think only for a year, but in the 60s.
Mm-hmm. Now, and we've talked about it. We're very excited for this game tonight. I'm very excited for this game. And I know it's a regular season game, so there's not much you can do about it. I just wish we were getting a better pitching matchup than Keaton Wynn and Andre Palante tonight. It'd be nice if we got
I
some.
saw Palante a couple Saturdays ago at AutoZone Park, where I will be tonight, so I won't get to watch it as
Sure.
closely. I hope it's on in the press box where I can keep a little bit of an eye on it, but I'll be at AutoZone Park tonight. But this is a special night.
Oh, 100%. And I'm excited to watch all the festivities around it on Fox and see that game played in a definitely historic ballpark. Will definitely be cool. But a lot of, I don't want to say controversy, but a lot of eyes were on Memphis yesterday with what they could maybe do if they were going to bring anybody up. Depending on how bad injuries were, maybe calling some guys up that maybe have had some time in the majors, most notably Jordan Walker, but he did not get a call up.
Not even added as the 27th man. Victor Scott got that
right.
designation.
And that's what they were saying. Victor Scott, I guess, was pulled yesterday or last night, or wasn't in the lineup. But Jordan Walker was, so you'll see Jordan Walker tonight.
In the Cardinal game notes that I'm reading from, it says notable Cardinals born in the state of Alabama.
Oh.
Brandon Dixon.
Okay.
Was he notable?
In
Montgomery. P.J. Walters.
Okay.
Dothan. Marlon Anderson, Montgomery.
Okay.
Dave Veers, Montgomery. Jeff Brantley, Florence. Osborne Earl Smith, Mobile.
Well, he's
pretty notable.
That's probably should have been number one on the list.
Tommy Agee, Magnolia, Alabama. Ted Sizemore, Gadsden. Johnny Lewis, Greenville. Alex Grammas, Birmingham. Terry Moore, Vernon, Alabama. Terry Moore, I would say, other than Jim Edmonds and Kurt Flood, that's
Sure.
two other thans. Probably best defensive center fielder in Cardinals history. Ray Pepper, Decatur. Gabby Street, Huntsville. Virgil Spud Davis in Birmingham. Give me everything you know on Spud.
Oh, Spud. Not much, Brett.
I don't need it. Tom Long, Greenville. Walton Cruz, Childersburg, and Tom Zimmer in Mobile.
Wow. I did not know it was that many names.
Ozzie Smith jumps to the top of the class.
I was about to
today.
say, that one probably should not have been there in the middle. It probably should have been number one. And then,
number one appropriately.
Yeah, yes.
For Ozzie Smith.
Absolutely.
I hope he's there tonight.
I hope so. I think he probably will be. But they'll pretty much have the night to themselves. Only one other game tonight, and it's later, an 8:40 start our time between the Brewers and the Padres. But you look around, not a ton of action today. Only 9 games on the slate today. But some interesting scores right now. Orioles and Yankees. Orioles hop all over the Yankees early, score 7 runs through 2 innings. It's now 11-3 in that one. Some other scores. Guardians, they beat the Mariners 6-3. Rays beat the Twins 7-6 in extra innings. So some interesting scores right now. Dodgers and Rockies. Dodgers up 5-3 right now in the bottom of the ninth, so one last chance for the Rockies. Hunter Goodman, former Memphis Tiger, up to bat for the Rockies in the bottom of the ninth. So some interesting games going on this Thursday.
White Sox fall to Houston. They're now 20-56. That percentage is right there.
Yeah.
That's close to 62 Metland.
Yeah, no, it's not good. It's not been a good
For the White
season.
Sox.
No, yeah, not been a good season for the White Sox. But I tell you, and they did it again today. This, for whatever reason it is, this team finds ways to score, and then they just cannot get the job done. They score 3 in the bottom of the fifth inning, and led 3-1 until gave up 4 runs in the 7th inning. So every run in this ballgame, it's 8 runs scored total. All of the runs came between 3 innings, which is incredible. 1, 3, and 4. Not been a good year for the White Sox.
The Cardinals with the rare Friday off, tomorrow Giants as well, and then that series will resume in St. Louis on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. Kind of the opposite. Usually everyone has most teams have Thursday off, and then you get everything going on Friday. So that'll be a little strange tomorrow evening on a Friday, not being able to watch the Cardinals. But we'll definitely be cool tonight to see that, and then try to get everybody over to St. Louis and give them a day off with travel, and let's get back to the ballpark
Almost like
on Saturday.
breaking spring training. After
It really
a long
is.
road trip and then
Yeah.
getting back home with a day off.
Yeah, so it'll be weird, but
Honey, I'm home.
Yeah, that's right. Jordan Hicks will make the start Saturday in St. Louis against his former team. Miles Michaelis going to go for the Cardinals, so that'll be interesting. Jordan Hicks has done well with the Giants this year, 4-3, 2.82 ERA this season. So that'll be a nice matchup to watch on Saturday.
And Sunday, for anybody going to St. Louis, you're going to see a matchup Sunday,
man.
Sonny Gray going against Logan Webb.
Yeah, and that's going to be the big one. Two really talented pitchers.
115 game, Sonny Gray will really be sweating.
Oh,
on
man.
it.
Yeah, and that.
He'll go through about 3 caps.
He sure will. But hey, some guys they just sweat. He's one of them.
Chris Carpenter again.
Yeah.
It looked like you had the sink on it sweating off the bill of his
crazy.
cap.
That's crazy. I mean,
you would watch him go, and this can't be good for you.
That's right. But
you might get dehydrated.
Sonny Gray not far behind him.
Not at all.
Not at all. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com. Cork and Barrel in Hernando, Mississippi, a Southern gem for over 15 years. Check out their bigger, better, bolder new location, 2595 McInvale Road, Hernando. Huge selection, incredible pricing. Choose from hundreds of bourbons, tequilas, rum, scotch, and vodka. Over 1,000 wines from fine to very simple picnic wines. At Cork and Barrel, it's all about serving you. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 10, where the fun begins and the liquor and wine never end. Cork and Barrel, 2595 McInvale Road, I-55, Hernando, exit 280.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Parkplace Center, Popper and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Genesis Diamonds has the lowest interest rates on the planet because we never stop thinking about it. Financing on any purchase of tennis bracelets, 5-star rings starting at only $35 for small here at Lab-grown diamond stud earrings, just $115. Spread your payments over 5 years. Zero interest. Bonus pendants, bands, jewelry, and products, watches, luggage, held back now for June 30 only at Genesis Diamonds. See store for details.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, my big number comes from Major League Baseball, and it's got to be a number centered around the state of Alabama, with Major League Baseball taking over Alabama
Very same.
later tonight. Okay, all right. So same wavelength. My big number today is the number 600. Hope that's not the same number as you.
No, we're about 444 off.
Okay, all right. So my big number is the number 600. Alabama is the only state to be the birthplace of two different players with at least 600 home runs in Major League Baseball history.
Willie Mays and Hank Aaron.
Willie Mays with 660 and Hank Aaron with 755.
It's incredible, that state that is so identified as football heaven.
Mm-hmm.
College football.
Yep.
Yeah, Legion Field once called itself the football capital of the South.
Yep.
And it's produced in every sport.
Yeah, it sure has. I mean, you can look at any sport, and there are great players from
Charles
the state of Alabama. That's a great one. So I mean, you're absolutely right about that. And when I saw this number, it blew me away. And obviously, with them playing at Rickwood and Willie Mays, I thought this was a great number for today.
It is a great number. My big number is, and I hate to do a fraction, 156.2,
okay.
or decimal point rather, 156.2. That was Willie Mays' WAR. And you know I'm not a big WAR guy.
No, you're not.
But I was looking at this early this morning. I saw that, and he's first among center fielders all time in WAR.
Wow.
156.2. Second, Ty Cobb. Third, Tris Speaker. 4, Mickey Mantle. 5, Mike Trout. 6, Ken Griffey Jr. And 7, Joe DiMaggio.
Wow.
Think of the people in his rearview mirror.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He's number 1 WAR all-time center fielder, so clearly the best center fielder of all time. There's not even a discussion.
No.
3,293 career hits, 660 career home runs, 1909 RBI, 339 stolen bases. Game, set, match.
Oh, yeah. That's incredible. I mean, the numbers certainly speak for themselves. And, I know we've said it so many times, but tonight really is going to be fun. I mentioned it earlier. Mason Wynn and Brendan Donovan had a press conference where they were in the jerseys that they'll be wearing tonight. Looked really good. They had patches on them for Willie Mays.
The whole display has been
awesome.
Unbelievable. Again, one more reference to Cardinal Game Notes. It's
Okay.
so good. It has a section of black players and coaches to win world championships with the St. Louis Cardinals. The first black players to appear on any St. Louis World Series team were 1964, Bob Gibson, Lou Brock, Bill White, and Kurt Flood.
Some names
Bill
right
White
there.
was later president of the National League, too.
Yeah.
And was a great announcer.
Really?
Was a really good analyst on TV. Bob Gibson, Lou Brock in Baseball Hall of Fame, Kurt Flood, his place in baseball history. And his play, I think, should have him in the Baseball Hall of Fame. 2011 team had Arthur Rhodes, Edwin Jackson, Adrian Chambers, and Corey Patterson. 2006, Preston Wilson, who contributed that year.
Sure did.
Needed him that year down the stretch, especially hitting coach was Hal McRae. 1982, any Cardinal fan worth 2 cents can name every one of these. Ozzie Smith, Lonnie Smith, Willie McGee, George Hendrick, and Tito Landrum.
Great names.
1967, Bob Gibson, Lou Brock, Kurt Flood. Backup catcher Dave Ricketts backed up Tim McCarver. And first baseman outfielder Bobby Tolan. The Bobby Tolan baseball card in the day, Bryant, and I had it. His batting stance, I wish you could find it somewhere to verify it.
Yeah.
His Tots baseball card. He was left-handed batter, and he would hold his bat.
Oh, wow.
I mean, a foot above his head in that stance. And so one day, and I couldn't hit the ball right-handed, much less left-handed. So one day I'm kind of in the mirror, and I'm pulling the Bobby Tolan stance. And I got the card right there by me. Dad walks by a couple times, and then comes back by and goes, What are you doing? I said, I'm trying to get my batting stance.
There you go.
Just like this. He goes, let's master right-handed first.
Oh, that's great.
It was great.
I'm looking it up right now. And
1964, Bill White, Kurt Flood, Lou Brock, and Bob Gibson.
Names. I am seeing some pictures of.
He held the bat high. Didn't
he sure did. Very high.
He was can't miss that missed.
Really interesting.
Kind of like my voice.
Well, that's all right. It's a Thursday, Brett. So I guess so. But you've been bringing it with these.
The Cardinal game notes today.
That's been great.
I just texted a great person in the Cardinal. I said, y'all so nailed it today.
Oh, yeah.
With Michael Whitty used to be here. Mm-hmm. I said, y'all nailed it with the notes.
Oh, 100%. And when you've been nailing it with these trading card references. I mean, you brought up this one, Jerry West last week with the backwards jersey. I mean, you've
it's what inspired all this.
Right. Yeah.
It's where I fell in love with sports was through first my baseball cards and football wasn't as much. NBA, ABA. I liked the ABA better because we had a team.
Of course, yeah.
Which was goofy, but I liked the ABA cards better. And then every week to get sporting news, to get Sports Illustrated, and to get football, basketball, and baseball digest.
Yeah.
And it was laid out very similar to Reader's Digest.
Sure.
Have you ever read a Reader's Digest?
I've never read one. I've seen plenty. No, I've never read one, though.
But they were yay by yay, kind of the size of a lot of NBA media guides when we had media guides.
Yeah.
And I would get those and just consume them and love it so much. But the baseball cards started it all for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the old ones are classic.
And turning over the back and memorizing everything on the back of the card.
Yeah, good times.
Hometowns, height, weight, batting averages, everything.
Yeah. Well, definitely the start of something. But you're right. I mean, when I was looking up Jerry West last week when you brought those up, Bob Tolan now. I mean, these old cards, they look way better than the cards look today.
Now that always seems like that.
Of course.
But I don't know if that's accurate. You know, that 10-year-old out there collecting now, he's pretty enamored by it.
Of course.
And they should be.
Of course. Hey, they can be enamored by it.
That's right.
It just doesn't look as good, you know?
And there was one year in the offseason, it was just done that the San Diego Padres were going to move to Washington. And Washington, D.C. finally get baseball back. So, however, the cards were laid out around the entire sport, like in the top left-hand column would be like Padres, and the top right-hand would be National League. So, they had just Washington and National League, no nickname. I mean, it was so done.
Wow.
They printed the cards with them being in Washington.
That's crazy.
And they're pretty rare out there.
I'm sure.
Among us goofy card collectors.
I believe
but
it.
I did not have the best collection. There was another kid in Far City that blew everybody away with his collection. Yeah, he just passed away a couple months ago. He was a really good guy, and had vintage collection.
That's awesome. Well, we need to get to a break and wrap up this second hour. When we come back, we're going to switch gears. A lot of Tiger news to talk about. Obviously, with basketball and football both in the offseason, a lot of news coming in for them, but also in the look for a new athletic director. We'll talk a lot of Tigers next with Greg Gaston.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous. A legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Buster's Butcher at 199 South Highland Street in Memphis. We're a full-service butcher shop offering a curated selection of quality meats, cheeses, prepared foods, and more. At Buster's, our skilled butchers are also experienced chefs. They'll be delighted to guide you on selecting, preparing, and cooking our fine selection of products. We're like nothing else you can find in Memphis. Learn more at bustersbutcher.com and come see why every cut counts at Buster's Butcher.
Todd is a real Prevagen user, and this is his story.
Hi, I'm Todd, and I live in Georgia. I'm a veteran of 23 years. I love to give back to the community, whether it's my fellow veterans, some guy on the street corner. I offer what I can, when I can. I started noticing that my memory was slipping, and I wanted to take proactive measures to try to help that. I saw a Prevagen commercial, and I did some research on it, and I wanted to find out if this stuff really worked. I started taking Prevagen about 3 years ago. Since taking Prevagen, I feel clearer in my thoughts, my memory has improved, and generally just more on point.
Prevagen is available in stores everywhere without a prescription. Based on a clinical study of subgroups of individuals who are cognitively normal or mildly impaired, this product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Testimonialist was compensated for their time.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Times Ranch jeans. Done, we have a great selection of old South t-shirts and caps, fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby. At Jason's Deli, locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar in Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It looks like they were dodging some type of debris a few minutes ago on 40 East out there around Highway 64. It remains slow over here on 240 southbound, trying to get past. Norris coming down out of the Midtown area. It's been this way all day long since early this morning when we had this nasty crash that they're still trying to clean up over here on 240 southbound right at 55. Again, that's why it's been slow coming down out of the Midtown area. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64, your full-service family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
From the Tiger sideline, it's Tiger Stock with Memphis broadcasting legend Greg Gaston. Here, Greg, weekday mornings on Sports 56 Mornings, along with Eli Savoy from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. On Twitter, X at Greg_Gaston. Here's Greg with Bryant and Brett.
Greg Gaston joins us like he does every Thursday to talk some Tigers and a ton to get into. Tiger football, Tiger basketball, but also Tigers looking for an AD. We've gotten a lot of news about that. Greg, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start there. I know a ton to get into today, but I want to start off with the opening at athletic director. We've heard over the last couple of days, the Daily Memphian has put out several stories about the Tigers search right now and has dropped a handful of names that have been involved in Zoom meetings and Zoom interviews with the university. It sounds like those Zoom interviews are going to lead to them cutting down to 2 or 3 guys that they'll bring on campus for more interviews. And then they're hoping, it said in the story of the Daily Memphian, to have a hire somewhere around before or around the 4th of July. What have you made of this reporting, the names you've seen? Where do you think the Tigers are at right now in search for an athletic director?
Well, first of all, good afternoon, gentlemen, and never a dull moment when it comes to University of Memphis athletics. But but we certainly knew this was coming. The new AD was Laird.
And this is very positive.
Oh, yeah.
This is positive, but the momentum has to continue. This is an important hire. This has to be somebody that understands the landscape, where Memphis is and where Memphis wants to get to. I would say this. There's a lot of stories out there. I think there's a lot of truth to a lot of the story, but I don't know if anybody knows exactly every candidate that there is and everybody that may be looked at or has been looked at. I do believe the time frame, what you're reading, is accurate. There will be the Zoom interviews this week. They'll get down to a few candidates. They'll probably bring those candidates in. They'll meet the committee, which is a 6-member committee, and then a decision will be made more than likely by the 4th of July. I would not be surprised if by that holiday they have their new AD in place. I know that's the timetable they would like. Some of the names you've heard out there have connections to the University of Memphis. It's understandable, and they are good candidates and good people. There's a few names that we've seen in those reports that I did not know at first as far as candidates. If it's an accurate report, and Tim Buckley does a really good job at the Daily Memphian, you got a guy with ties to Clemson. You got a guy with ties to Virginia. Of course, Jeff Crane is the acting AD, the interim AD, if you will. I think he has done an outstanding job. There's several guys that have ties to the University of Tennessee currently, and of course Ryan Alpert being one that has ties to Memphis. But you have a couple of guys that they could consider from Tennessee. So there's a lot of options out there. There's a lot of good candidates. They did go with a search committee and paid money for that search committee to come down to a certain amount of names, which they did, and now it's up to the committee itself, a search firm, I should say. And now this search committee, these 6, will decide on the fate and the future of the University of Memphis. So again, most of those reports out there certainly have accuracy in them, but whether or not they know the answers to all the candidates and all the names that will be looked at, I don't think so. I think I'm not going to say there's going to be a big surprise with the hire, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few names that have been omitted that they'll look at.
Yeah, I love the reporting done by Tim Buckley at the Daily Memphian on this, and I think his reporting highlights just really how the cup runneth over. A very qualified, almost can't go wrong with any of the reported choices, and even if they went off the grid with maybe kind of a one we don't see in the reporting now, like you alluded to, that could end up well. So does the buck stop with the president? Will he eventually make the hire, or is this all search firm committee?
This is going to be the committee. I believe that Dr. Bill Hardgrave is, and certainly he has a major say, but I do know this, whether he is the ultimate decision maker or he lets the committee decide. Once he brings in that AD, he is leaning on that AD to make all the pertinent decisions in that athletic department. This is not going to be like Dr. Rudd, who I certainly loved having on the radio show, and he was fantastic in what he was able to do as the president, and Bill Hardgrave has picked up the baton and he's running with it. But I think there is a big difference between the two. I think Dr. Rudd was more hands-on in the athletic department, and I don't believe that will be the case with Dr. Hardgrave.
Yeah, I thought
think
Rudd wanted to be AD when things went well. When they didn't, he ran from the camera.
Yeah, but he had his hands involved in a lot of the athletic department. Bill Hargrave, Dr. Hargrave, will not. So, but again, to answer your question as far as who will make the ultimate decision, obviously Dr. Hargrave being the president, if that's what he elects to do, he has the right to do so. But he's going to lean on that 6-person committee to make that, I think, to make that call ultimately.
Obvious first, order of business is conference realignment. Greg, just have to get out of the AAC. I was going through the AAC basketball coaches last night, and it really, it hit me like a 2x4 across my face of just how really the dearth of coaches in this. Coach Penny Hardaway, he has senior status. He's number one. Second is Ron Hunter. Third is Andy Kennedy. Then the rest of these names I'm not making up. Michael Schwartz at ECU, Eric Conkle at Tulsa, Paul Mills, Wichita State, Amir Abdul-Rahim at USF, Adam Fisher at Temple, Ross Hodge at North Texas, Aaron, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, Fierney at Charlotte, Rob Lanier at Rice after being fired at SMU, John Jacobs at FAU, and Austin Clonch at Texas San Antonio. This is not heavyweights.
It's not a who's who, I'll tell you that much. And it's interesting because how many years did we talk about all the great coaches in the conference that Memphis was in, whether it was the American Conference earlier when Houston, UCF, Cincinnati was in, or going back in the days of different conferences, including Conference USA for Memphis.
Yeah,
there was usually some huge things
at Charlotte in those days.
Exactly. And of course, you lose a Houston, you lose a Kelvin Sampson. But yeah, it's a lot different ball game here. It's a lot different game. But to your original point here that you just mentioned about getting into another conference, first and foremost, and I think this will be the most important issue that or criteria that will be looked at in the hiring of this next AD is absolutely fundraising. Because fundraising and being able to bring in that type of money what got SMU into the ACC, to have that type of money, to be able to not only ask the deep-pocketed boosters to help, but to really help get them elevated into another place. And that was the main reason why SMU was able to do so. And we already know what Fred Smith has done and what FedEx has done. But this new AD will be called upon to be able to find it in every crack and crevice there is to help this athletic department, while also looking at the future, because most people believe, and I think they're probably right, Brett, that there will be more movement eventually. Sure. It never seems to be stable, collegiate sports. Maybe we have stability for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden here comes changes, whether it be Florida State and Clemson and others leaving the ACC. Who knows what will happen? But that AD is going to have this school in position. I thought Laird did a really good job to have him in position for the most part, but they just didn't have the collateral. They didn't have the financial stability. That's what this new AD has to do. And I think a background of fundraising, along with a background that includes big-time football, is going to be paramount, I think, in that hiring.
Yeah. Talking to Greg Gaston, he joins us to talk Tigers every single Thursday. You can listen to him every single weekday morning from 7 to 10 with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli. And earlier today, over at the Daily Memphian, Parth posted a story about Joe Cooper. He has talked to Joe Cooper, and Joe Cooper had some very interesting quotes about his time, his one season with the University of Memphis as a walk-on. The quote in the headline, quote, "It was kind of heartbreaking." It goes on to talk about how it seems like he was not very fond of his time at Memphis. He said him and Penny didn't have a relationship. He felt alienated while he was a part of the team. He said that obviously that first semester he was spending all of his time trying to get eligible and do academic stuff, but even after that felt alienated. And then it says later in the story that he tried to reach out to Penny Hardaway when the season was over to kind of figure out where things stood, what was the future of him with the program, and that Penny Hardaway never got back to him, never reached back out to him. And here was a quote or a paragraph from the story. But according to Cooper, Hardaway never responded to any of his texts or calls, and Cooper, who'd been contacted by other D1 programs with scholarship offers, didn't enter the NCAA transfer portal before the May 1st deadline to do so because of a sense of loyalty he felt to the Tigers. What do you make of this story and some of these quotes you've seen from Joe Cooper? And obviously one side, we don't obviously know Penny Hardaway's point of view from this or what happened from his side, but what do you make of what you've heard from this story?
One, it's a lot to wrap around my head, to be honest with you. It's a lot of stuff. I knew there was a story coming, but I didn't know the particulars, and I really didn't have a chance today until now and a few minutes before we started the show to kind of get the understanding of how much Joe Cooper was vocal about his displeasure being a member of the Memphis Tigers. I mean, remember the days, Brett, when people were afraid to speak their mind because of the repercussions? I mean, that's out the window now. I mean, you got walk-ons destroying
Not
legends.
somebody named Joe Cooper.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy.
I'm
so
adding up
I
Joe
knew there was a
Cooper's
story.
minutes played last year, and I'm complete at about 49.
Yeah.
Well, I knew a story was coming, and then I'm thinking to myself, just a few days ago, and no, this is not a diss on Joe, and I remember
mine is.
Okay, but I knew his stepfather, of course, Rodney Newsom, who was a terrific player, so there's kind of a legacy thing going there. But when I heard that all this stuff that Bryant was telling me before we went on the air, and I'm thinking to myself, first of all, Penny Hardaway had to give the green light for Joe Cooper to walk onto the team. And then he stuck with him while he was ineligible. And I give the kid credit. He went out and he did the academics that he had to do to become eligible. So, first of all, he was given a spot on the team. I know it was walk-on status and not a scholarship, but come on. I mean, he was given that opportunity from playing in junior college. I don't know, and I'd be out of turn to say this, but to me, I can understand what Joe's saying about not knowing what the future was after the season. I think Penny kind of it closed his door, and maybe a lot of people were left out in the dark, including assistant coaches. And maybe that's a little bit on Penny, but this isn't the Grizzlies in exit interviews. I don't know if they do that with players. Maybe they do. I certainly know that ADs do that with coaches after a scholastic year. But to me, I'm thinking to myself, okay, did Joe Cooper, because he actually had a few good minutes out on the court, think that maybe he was more important or better than what he is, and then all of a sudden he expected a scholarship and this and that? Now, if that's what I think that might be a little bit too much on Joe's part. But if that's not the case, and again, we're only hearing the one side and reading the one side, then if that's the situation that Joe is saying, he just wanted clarity, then I can completely understand that.
For sure.
If he had opportunities to go other places and get a scholarship, I would have jumped on that, not knowing that he would have gotten a scholarship.
For sure.
In any case, even if he was brought back. He didn't know. I guess he wanted an answer to that, and Penny wasn't about to give him an answer that I'm going to give this walk-on a scholarship right now when I'm trying to assemble a team. So this is one where I kind of I lean toward Penny on this. I think Penny's been thrown out into the fire.
I dig in for the head coach in this case. Greg, his answer to Joe Cooper and to those assistants with his indifference, that was his answer. Scram.
Yeah, look, again, I don't know all the details, but to me, it's crazy that nowadays you can have a player talking ill will about a coach and it's not a star player. It's not some
he scored 8
guy
points
who's making
last
a
year.
Ton of, I know. It's not a guy making a ton of NIL or an all-conference player. This is a walk-on destroying, in this article, a legend of the game. Now, again, if he's talking about just wanting clarity, if he just said, listen, I was disappointed, I wanted to be at Memphis, And I just really didn't get the clarity that I wanted. It's a shame. But it wasn't. He roasted him.
Yeah.
He roasted him for what you told me.
Do you have your? I haven't noticed. We text a lot. Do you have your text messages set on red, where the person knows if you read them or not? It makes no difference. Do your?
No, I wouldn't know how to do that. I barely know how to talk on the phone.
I do, and I have it for that reason, where they know. If I don't respond to you when it says red, it means I got it. in Penny Hardaway's world, to Joe Cooper, he had his text on red, and he didn't get back to him.
Right, exactly. I didn't know that, though. I learned something every day with you, Brett. I mean, I can't believe you know this modern technology as well as you do.
It.
But again, look, it's the off season. There's always going to be something with Memphis. Hey, look, there's a lot more things to be either concerned about or talk about when it comes to Memphis basketball, where they are. I know that the kid, Glenn Taylor, was going to come and visit, and now he's not going to visit. Whether or not he was going to visit to begin with, who knows? There's so many stories out there. But I am not going to be, and I don't think Penny's going to be, overly concerned, or any Tiger fan, that it's a disgruntled walk-on. With all due respect to Joe.
I mean, this isn't Larry Finch losing Tony Harris in recruiting, Greg.
Right. This isn't losing a stud, a guy who, look, again, it was a good little story last year when he was able to come in, get some minutes on a depleted roster where there was injury after
in
injury.
A huge win that he had, 3 points in?
Yeah, something like
that. I'm not going to knock his basketball, Brett, but what I'm going to knock is that a lot of people believe they're more important than they are, and maybe that is simply the case. And again, Penny, whether he was obligated to tell every single player, and the only players that were coming back were Nick Jourdain, and I assume Rick Stansbury's son, who's a walk-on, and that's it.
Noah. Yeah,
right, Noah, and then Cooper. But again, Penny's got a million things to worry about, like putting a roster together, which I still think needs help, and a coaching staff right now, which I don't think anybody knows who's on the staff. And so he's going to now have to be
but we know
concerned about a walk-on.
We know Rick Stansbury's on the staff.
I say it facetiously, but we know there's some people. We know there's some people that
Andre
will
Turner's
probably
going to play a role.
Yeah, but again, we're finding in bits and pieces the coaching staff each passing day, like just this week. So what I'm saying is he has more things to worry about and be concerned about than now having to go, oh my gosh, I got a walk-on here absolutely destroying me and who I am as a person in this article in the Daily Memphian.
Greg
Gasson. I mean, come on. I can imagine him saying, come on.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me.
I'm sure saying it for him. Greg Gasson with us. He's from the Tiger Sideline in Mornings with Eli Savoy, and he's brought to you by Jim's Place Collierville, Mount Moriah Auto Sales, the law offices of Stephen Leffler, and Neil's Bar and Grill. And what it also does, Greg, that when you just have this rat-a-tat-tat of almost piling on with Joe Cooper, when you have this piling on effect, then when there is something to legitimately critique and have analysis about, then that gets lost in all the wash of piling on.
No question about it. No question about it. But again, we have given probably, and I don't mean this segment, but just today, way too much coverage of a walk-on.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I respect the human being.
Sure.
I respect the basketball player. I respect Joe. But it's like, come on.
I don't know that I do,
that
Greg.
bored?
I don't know that I do. To go out there and go to war with Penny Hardaway. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah. From that regard, Brett, absolutely. I'm just talking about the young man, the basketball. I'm not going to sit here and go, I mean, he's already, on the basketball court, accomplished more than I ever have, so I'm not going to knock his basketball play.
Barely.
But man, you're on fire today, aren't you, man? Something's got Brett fired up. But
this is what we're talking about, though, Greg. This is absolute nobody. This is a guy that would play on senior night.
That's why I can't imagine Penny is too riled up about this thing. Hopefully, fans aren't too riled up about it. Now,
and for it to be reported like he fell out with Keith Lee.
Right. But it is interesting because you have Penny and you have Rodney Newsom. who's the stepfather, and I wonder where that relationship is. Now it's got to be soured, but I wonder if they had a strong relationship.
It's probably
but again,
about
the
as
main
good
point,
as mine with Joe Cooper.
yeah, the main point I started this whole conversation with was on this topic was again that you have a guy who is making a huge deal about his situation as a walk-on player for the University of Memphis when he hasn't been given the green light by Penny Hardaway himself to be on the team to begin with. So he was given that opportunity.
And, Greg, some of my more pointed criticism is because it has changed for me in this player liberation era. Not necessarily for every walk-on, and I know he probably wasn't, but you're out there with your hand out and your hand being a check being put in it from NIL. The old men don't crack on the 20-year-olds. You know, they're just a college kid. No. This is all changed. They can be criticized.
Yes, and here's the other thing too. Look, you obviously you want coaches to be honest with you, but there's nothing concrete. There's nothing etched in stone that these things don't happen. Right, that these things don't happen all across the country. How about when Coach Prime came into Colorado and just weeded out everybody?
Kicked off 85 people.
That's right.
Yeah, you have to do what's right for you.
Told
and
him
if
I could
Joe,
go 1-11 without you.
yeah, right. If Joe legitimately, and I believe it, if there were actual schools, no matter what size they are, that were offering him a chance to play scholarship on a team as opposed to a walk-on, they'll sit around and wait and think that you're that important, that Penny's worried about whether or not, should I give a scholarship to this guy? Take it, man.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to be in that situation, to be a scholarship basketball player, collegiately Division One. He was a junior college player. He got a chance to play at Memphis where he, of course, he loves Memphis as a walk-on, and then an opportunity, according to him, to play somewhere else, like several schools reaching out for a scholarship. Take it. Don't wait around and wait for a coach to give you an answer, because it may not happen. And you learn the hard way.
Greg, I want to squeeze this question. I know we're really short on time, but I want to try to squeeze this question in here. And maybe I shouldn't, because I know how Brett feels about this. And so it might not be great.
I'm setting the rest of this out.
Well,
I really am.
You mentioned Glenn Taylor Jr. was supposed to take a visit. That is obviously not happening. Arthur Kaluma, kind of the same boat a couple weeks ago. But earlier this week, a Pro-Am here in Memphis, Jonathan Lawson participated in it, and talking to reporters after the Pro-Am game, Brett viciously shaking his head right now. Jonathan Lawson, after the game, said that a return to Memphis was definitely still in the cards, that was a possibility with him being in the transfer portal.
Look, I can see, even though I can't physically see him, I can see him in my mind, Brett, and what he's doing right now. Because I know
it
exactly
never ends
what Brett's
with the Lawsons.
Well, yes.
How many more are there?
I think this is the last one.
You can have a mini-series. I mean, at least a 4-parter on Hulu.
Yeah,
with,
and the
with
best
the
part was the first part, Diedrich.
But here's the thing. In this day and age, it shouldn't surprise anybody. The players now have the card. I'm thinking about coming back to Memphis. Penny's talked to me a couple of times. Let's think about some other places and all that.
Oh, the
they're
quote
17
was, he
and
hit
18.
me up, end of quote.
They're 17, 18, 19 years old, and they're deciding, all right, I'm going to go here because it's going to give me the most money. Maybe I'll go here, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait now to make my decision. It's now it's a professional. It's a minor professional league that we now have in collegiate sports.
And I'm
not
going to treat
quite
them like
a professional league. It's a minor professional league, and so that's why you can have players who, and Jonathan Lawson, who I've always liked as a player, did not even get minutes basically at Creighton.
That's right.
And he's sitting around, playing in the summer league and wondering, I might go to Memphis. I might come back. Maybe I'll go somewhere else. We'll see. It is what it is now. This is the way. This is the world we live in now with collegiate sports.
Always something with Tigers
Good
athletics.
stuff,
Plenty to talk about. Greg, as always, thanks so much for joining us.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Greg. Whew. Greg Gaston joining us to talk Tigers.
More losses.
Oh, man. It doesn't seem like it ever ends, Brett.
No, it doesn't.
No. But let's go ahead. I know Brett needs a break after that one. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56. 56 and 98.5 FM.
Any day is a good day to sell your home. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Venstore Realtors, but the absolute best days to sell your home are those days that end with a Y. That's right. Numerous scientific studies and my friend Kevin, who is also a wine connoisseur, have shown that if you want to sell your home, make sure and use my highly successful strategic marketing program and list on the day ending in a Y. Now think about it. Who would be foolish enough to not trust science and a wine connoisseur? Seriously, changes are happening in the real estate industry, and it's not just that sellers don't know the answers, they don't know the questions. That's why I'm here. If you or someone you know is thinking of selling, I always tell people to talk to 2 to 3 experienced real estate brokers and make sure that I am one of them. Find out why people often say, when you want the job done, you call Shell Done. Call me at 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. Remember, MemphisRelocate.com or 483-0546.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Cork and Barrel in Hernando, Mississippi, a Southern gem for over 15 years. Check out their bigger, better, bolder new location, 2595 McInvale Road, Hernando. Huge selection, incredible pricing. Choose from hundreds of bourbons, tequilas, rum, scotch, and vodka. Over 1,000 wines from fine and very simple picnic wines. At Cork and Barrel, it's all about serving you. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 10, where the fun begins and the liquor and wine never end. Cork and Barrel, 2595 McInvale Road, I-55 Hernando, exit 280.
You can host the best backyard barbecue when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
Genesis Time is the lowest interest rates on the planet because we never stop thinking about it. Zero interest financing on any purchase. Full tennis bracelets, 5-star rings starting at only $35. Here at Lab-grown diamond stud earrings, just $115. Spread your payments over 5 years. Zero interest. Bonus payments bands, jewelry, and products, watches, nothing's held back now through June 30 only at Genesis Diamonds. Approved credit, see store for details.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brian and Brett with you as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show. And I did not think we would talk that much Joe Cooper with Greg when I woke up this morning. Ever is a great point. A lot of Joe Cooper talk there. The story came out Parth, who does.
Did he average 20 last year? I missed it?
You must have missed it.
Look, Joe, here it was your answer. Like now in the text age, you have that first date with the girl, and you go out and you have a great time.
Sure.
Look, this has happened. To me, you have a great time. You text, hey, that was great.
That's right.
Look forward to getting together again. Crickets.
Brett, do you know?
That's her answer.
Do you know?
You're not getting together again.
Do you know what the term for that is?
Is it gaslighting?
No. Close. Starts with a G. Ghosting. If you you text somebody and they don't.
I thought it was being dumped.
No, it's just they ghosted you. They ghosted. They didn't respond. They ghosted you.
What did I asked you something generational during the break?
Subtweeting.
What is subtweeting?
Yeah, it's basically like quote tweeting. Just
Is that good? Is it good or bad?
Hey,
either. Can be both.
It can be both. Okay. Yeah, it just depends, I guess. It's kind of taken over.
I would defend Penny Hardaway to the end of time on this.
Yeah.
I mean, what's next? The manager's getting mad.
Well, you never know, Brett. No, I mean,
the trombone player's mad.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and I want to.
I'm telling you, this is how it could get to be enough for Penny Hardaway to go,
Sure.
I don't have to do this.
I'm
I'm setting on low side $50 million.
Definitely.
To heck with all this.
And here's the thing, Brad. I mean, we talked a lot about Joe Cooper on and off air during the season when he came in and played those couple of games, and I've been consistent. I think Joe Cooper's a fine guy, a fine player. I just didn't really see him being a rotation piece on this team. Now, and I said this yesterday, and I want to clarify because we were talking about it when the news came out that he was going to be, or I guess 2 days ago, when the news came out that he was no longer with the program. Zach was on with John, and he asked about, well, can he transfer now with the transfer portal being closed? And I said, well, I know he would have to get a waiver if he goes to a D1 school, but I don't know if he goes down a level to D2. I don't know how that works. If you'd still need a waiver, what all entails in that. I don't want people to think I was saying that he's a D2 player, because I do think that, and he said it in the story, that other D1 programs are calling him for scholarship. He could definitely be a scholarship player at a probably a smaller D1 school, but I could see it at a place, being a rotation piece at a smaller school. And if that's the case, I definitely want him, like you said, like Greg said in our last segment. If anybody is a walk-on player, they're grinding, they're trying to get it, and they have an opportunity to be a scholarship player somewhere, I think you absolutely have to take it. But at a certain point, and I have both sides on this, because I do think it's very easy for Penny Hardaway to just be like, hey, man, you're not a scholarship player on my team. We would love to have you back as a walk-on, but if grass is greener, if you've got another opportunity somewhere else, by all means, go take it. But Brett, on the same token, on the flip side, if, like you said, if you're trying to reach out, if you're not reaching back out, why wouldn't you go? And I understand he loves Memphis. He wants to be a part of this team. He wants to be a part of this community.
But he came in here from somewhere else, didn't he?
He was at a JUCO. He went to Northwest as a JUCO. So it's very clear to me that he wants to be here. He wants to be a part of this team. But at some point, you've got to do what's better for you. And if there's a scholarship opportunity out there, I think you have to go and take that.
And there's this great opportunity around 4th of July, and it's the great deals at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, and that's where you can get all the new Silverados, some marked 12% off invoice. It's a great buyer's market right now. Financing as low as 1.9, no payments for 90 days at All-Star on new Trailblazers, Equinox, Silverados, and more. Nothing beats family trips in that great new Tahoe, and an extra $500 bonus back for graduates, college students, first responders, healthcare workers, teachers, and all military. No matter what pre-owned you're looking for, find it at All-Star Olive Branch, all-American pre-owned sale. All the Jeep trucks, even a Ram ProMaster cargo van, 4Runners, all at Olive Branch. You can test drive every one of those cars and trucks and vehicles. Drew DePriest and his team, they want you to come on down first exit on Kraft Goodman Road off Highway 78 as you enter into Mississippi. You're there. Bring All-Star any vehicle you want to sell and get a check today for it, tomorrow for it, over the weekend for it. Everyone at All-Star and Olive Branch wishes you and yours a very safe 4th of July as we celebrate our country's Independence Day. Don't miss All-Star Chevy's All-American sale in Olive Branch. Go to allstarautogroup.com for more information. Odds are out for College World Series. Tennessee with a 62.3% favorite over Texas A&M.
That's smart. I mean, we've been saying it, Brad. I think it runs through them. I think Texas A&M, a good team. I think, I don't think this is a sweep, but, I've got to see it before I think Tennessee loses.
Odds to win before the College World Series started. LSU 13-2. Wake Forest 7-1.
Wow.
Arkansas 10-1. Florida 10-1. Tennessee 12-1. Oregon State 16-1. TCU 16-1. A&M 20-1. You could have made some money on UT.
Oh, you definitely could have. A team that last year and the last couple of years have played really well.
That was in February. That was odds in February.
Well, I mean that's still. But I think that a team that came in had really good teams the last 2 years, and we've talked about it, Brett, earlier this year at the very beginning of the season. There were some questions about this Tennessee team, and I think some people thought maybe this team's really good, but there's a good chance this team maybe takes a small step back. But they've definitely hit it out on all cylinders, and my money says that they're going to win the College World Series.
The A&M pitching, if anybody's going to shut down that Tennessee hitting, it would be the A&M pitching.
Certainly. I mean, they've got the pitching. They're a great team. I mean, you look at them, and I would say these are two.
And Vitello.
Yeah, and we've been talking about it, during SEC conference play, and as we got kind of closer to the conference tournament, of these were the top two teams in the SEC, and now here they are in the finals. And so I hope it's fun. I hope it's entertaining. I hope we get some great games. And I think you're right. If there's a team out there that can do it, I think it's Texas A&M.
You caught me earlier in a mistake, Bryant, when I was talking about the hockey and my Panthers tonight, and you said
tomorrow night.
It's tomorrow night.
That's right, Brett. Tomorrow night, the big game.
Friday night, 7 p.m.
That's right. So that's gonna be fun in Edmonton.
I thought it was going up against the baseball tonight.
No, well, I'm glad it's not, because I definitely want to watch both of those. I hope a lot of people watch both of those, and so to be able to get one tonight, one tomorrow will be fun. Hey, let's see what Edmonton can do at home, and maybe can force a Game 7. That would be certainly wild.
You have Edmonton. If you win the hockey picks. If I win with Florida, we tie.
Yeah.
And I'll take my tie against you, noted hockey expert that you are.
Well, and I told you, Brett, you can definitely take that. You can wave that flag. And I told you wave that flag as well. I'll definitely give those up to you. But on that same token, Brett.
I'm not hanging a banner. I'm just waving a flag.
But I just want to, on June 20th, 2024, I just want to make it known, when we get to college football picks, if we tie in SEC W's and L's, I will also be waving a flag. I'm going to take that victory lap.
Oh, you will?
I will. That's right.
You know that very well, though.
Well, yeah, but Brett, not like you. I mean, I can't.
The spread is quite different. Hockey and even NBA between
I guess that's
college football.
I guess that's
massive.
I don't know. I'll give you.
We
did
did tie in something last year, didn't we?
We did, and I don't remember what it was.
All these things we keep, and we can't remember.
Too many picks, I guess.
A lot of picks.
It's a lot of picks. Brett, we've talked about this a little bit off air. Not a ton. I know we have not talked about it on air. The reporting that came out yesterday that from Rich Paul that Bronny James will only, and you asked Keith Smith about this, Bronny James will only, or has only, and will only work out for the Lakers and the Suns.
Gently backing away from being linked that he's got to be drafted by a team he's on.
Sure, yeah,
that's the Lakers.
Yeah, and so I thought very interesting, and Rich Paul obviously. It always seems like he has a method to the madness.
Well, you can't argue with him.
You can't argue with him. He has the record to back him up. But when you're Bronny James, and I think not a ton of people sold on Bronny James going to the draft. I don't
know how they could be.
Yeah,
and not health related.
Sure.
Again, I am so glad he's fine because that was scary.
Sure.
That was one that like we were talking about Tiger the other day.
Mm-hmm.
That felt like that could go the wrong way.
Sure. No, absolutely.
That original reporting.
100%.
So I'm so glad he's okay. And I know he was probably hampered by that last year. He's 6 foot and averaged 5 points in college on a bad team.
Sure, yeah.
How does that look appealing to an NBA team?
Well, and that's why, because I am not against the idea of Bronny going to the NBA. I would love to see him. I would have loved to see him back in college.
So you think there's something there?
I do, and I think you can get it out of him. I think he plays great defense.
He wasn't that highly ranked on all those basketball rankings.
No, he wasn't, and that's why
24/7.
Right, he was top 50. I think about 41, something like that. But I do think there's potential there. I think his IQ is off the charts. I think he plays great defense. But that's why, because I'm not super sold that he's going to pan out. Clearly, a ton of other people are not sold at all.
And how sold are we on almost any second round?
Oh, 100%. But that's why I think I would have him work out for every team and try to have multiple teams say, okay, there's something there that we can get out of him. And because now with the G League and everything the NBA has, you don't necessarily need to draft him and say, you got to immediately produce for us in the NBA. We can send you down and develop you and teach you our system and get you ready for in a year, 2 years, and then you're ready. But that's why I would send him out there and be working out for everybody.
An NBA person told me earlier today that he thought the reason why that they don't want him going to team, because team to team, the more he would get picked apart.
Interesting. And that certainly could be the reason.
That plenty of flaws.
Sure.
Plenty of flaws in a lot of games out there.
Of course.
Especially for potential second rounders or undrafted. That's why you were second round and
that's
undrafted.
Right, yeah.
Get picked apart. And the intel that they do on you They're filming all those workouts. They're cataloging for future game plans.
For sure.
That's
that's another good point.
And that would get out, and he would get exposed.
Sure. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, that's for a guy that's, if he gets picked, is going to be picked in the second round, is going to be one of the biggest storylines. And maybe, honestly, Brett, and I know this decision did not come because of Bronny James by no means, but you got to think ESPN, and you've seen them. I mean, ESPN's been pushing Bronny James talk a lot. They are, kind of thankful that Bronny James declared for the draft because of having that second day of the draft.
Right now,
it will be. And so there are going to be people out there that if Bronny James wasn't a big story, they wouldn't tune in at all day two, but now they'll probably at least keep an eye on it to see what happens with Bronny James.
I hope it works out for him. I hope he goes somewhere. It's a perfect fit. He has a fabulous career, and he ends up making more money from basketball than his dad did.
Sure.
Doesn't feel likely.
High bar.
Almost impossible.
It is almost impossible.
And you know who's going to be under that same microscope, maybe not opening day next year, but in 2 years, will be Arch Manning.
That's right. You're absolutely right about that.
It cuts both ways.
It's exactly right. And heck, I mean, you can even go. You just went cross sports. You can go cross sports again. I mean, Charlie Woods. There's a lot of talk about him right now. With
15.
And him playing in these amateur events.
And everywhere he goes, there he is.
Yeah,
that's Tiger's son.
You know what John pitched out there today about old Chuck Woods.
This would be great.
He said that Liv should go out and get Charlie Woods and demand that Tiger Woods be on his bag.
Wow. That's the best thing I've heard all year in Memphis Sports Talk Radio.
And he told me, so we were at a break. He started talking about Bryson DeChambeau.
Did he do that on the air?
He did it on the air.
That is,
because he told me during the break.
That is next level.
He told me during the break that he wanted to talk about Bryson DeChambeau. And so we were kind of talking off air about Bryson DeChambeau. And I was talking about how, is there any other player that went to Live that was, most of them were very likable, went to Live, now kind of unlikable. Bryson, quite the opposite, unlikable before, goes to Live and is now very likable this past week. And so I thought he was going to talk about that because that's what he said he wanted to talk about. Now, nowhere he throws, I think Liv should go and get Charlie Woods. I go, oh, okay.
I'm speechless.
I mean, that's something.
That really is. That's a great idea.
Great idea.
And,
why not?
And I'm sure Charlie Woods, Dad, I hope you understand, but this is my $250 million.
I'll take it.
From MBS, the
Why not?
Royal family.
Why not?
Sorry.
Sorry.
And, Dad can have all he wants, but then it's yours.
That's right. And, I mean, hey,
that's such a
I'd
great
take it.
idea.
I mean, if you're throwing that much money at me.
Did you see Bryson DeChambeau rolling around Nashville?
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, and obviously Live there. They start tomorrow in Nashville and downtown Broadway with his trophy.
To hear from someone that goes.
I would too. I was kind of surprised yesterday when we were talking to John about that him and some of his buddies were going to load up and go. He said some of his buddies did end up going. Yeah, and so we'll see.
John Goin,
right? Correct. So we'll see. I would love to hear from anybody that goes, kind of what that is like, a Live event.
It just doesn't do much for me, and most of it is the 54 holes.
Sure, well, it's definitely different.
Not that I'm going to all 72 or even 54. But I just don't think it's authentic at 54.
Yeah, it's
and if they change to 72, they're not Live anymore.
Right, wait, the bingo. That will be interesting. Kind of keep an eye on what's going on in Nashville. But you're right, he was out there with his trophy on Broadway having a good old time. But we need to get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
John. Why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Actual aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
With a cast of returning stars ready for the big stage. The momentum for Memphis football is on the rise. It's time for breakfast, so purchase your tickets today at GoTigersGo.com. With Verizon, now everyone can get our best phone deals.
Even if I'm new?
Even if you're new.
What if I've been with Verizon forever?
Oh, yeah. You see, new and existing customers get the amazing iPhone 15 with tons of storage on us. With any iPhone trade at any model, any condition. Guaranteed with unlimited ultimate.
Here's one. What if?
That's a yes. There's a deal out there for everyone. Only at Verizon. $829.99, 128 gigabyte only device payment or full retail purchase with new or upgrade smartphone line on unlimited ultimate plan. Minimum $90 a month with auto pay plus taxes and fees for 36 months required. Less $830 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Promo credit ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. 0% APR. Trade-in terms apply.
I got him on the line, Jason, the main man Marshall, and he's ready to rock and gossip Volkswagen on the pike.
Randy, it's vacation time, so take the road wherever it leads you with 42 miles per gallon on the highway in a brand new 2024 Volkswagen Jetta SE for only $249 a month.
That's an awesome deal at Gossip Volkswagen on the pike. And Jason, my main man Marshall, everybody in Memphis knows when it comes to a great deal, it's all about choices.
Take your pick from 2024 Tiguan S front-wheel drive or a 2024 Taos SE for only $279.28 a month, plus 0% for 60 months on all new 24 Taos. And you know my motto, make me an offer, because nothing reasonable will be refused.
Ask for Jason, the main man Marshall, at Gossip Volkswagen, 1875 Covington Pike, online, gossipvwmemphis.com.
Where we're charging forward and charging less every day.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, what I learned today, it's what we talked about to start the show. J.J. Redick will be the next head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. What does this mean? What comes next? What will his staff look like? What will that team look like next year? It will look a lot like it did last year, but how will they play under J.J. Redick? A first-time coach, I mentioned it earlier. All the other coaches that were first-year coaches that were also players and then went straight to head coaching. And, you know, some good names on there and some names that have won championships. And so, you know, it will be.
Was Kerr on there?
Well, it was notable names, so Kerr was not on there, but I don't know if he would fit the criteria. I'm sure he would have been in there.
Had he been an assistant coach anywhere?
I'm looking that up right now. Let's see.
That was a great list.
It was a good list, and so I don't know if they just put, you know, I don't think it was everybody on the list. No, just Golden State Warriors is what is listed on his Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
So Steve Kerr in there as well, and that definitely helps that list. So it could be really good, but there's also some names on there that, you know, didn't pan out
Swung and
as
missed.
well. So we'll see. I do think, I mentioned this earlier, I think J.J. Redick's a great basketball mind, and so I think, and Keith Smith said this as well, I think X's and O's will be fine for him.
There will be a point next year. You can get ready for it.
Sure.
That somebody will say, so you wanted to be the Lakers
That's
head
right.
coach. It'll be a tough patch.
And Brett, I mentioned it when we were first talking about with J.J. Redick. I don't know if that's what I would want my first coaching job to be, the LA Lakers. I know it's this great franchise and the history of it, but I don't know if that's where I'd want to start. That's true. That's very true.
What I learned today, Bryson DeChambeau strolling down Broadway in Nashville with the U.S. Open trophy in hand. He is Captain America right now. What would the crowd be like for Live in Nashville? I don't know if I would go if it was in this parking lot. But that doesn't make it right or wrong. A lot of people will and will enjoy it. I just don't like the setup. It's not intended for me.
Right. But hey,
the whole deal.
Sure. But I am curious to see what it draws.
People have on Crushers gear.
They might. They'll certainly, I'm sure, be selling it, and it definitely doesn't help Live that they just got a major win under their belt for the tour. So it will be interesting tomorrow. What I could have done without, it's got to be this Joe Cooper story. We're only seeing one side of it, but like we've been saying, I just. More drama for Tiger basketball, and
That's not necessary.
That's not necessary, and
this may be the what we could have done without for the year.
It really could have been. So I wish Joe Cooper well, and I hope he lands somewhere. And but I think we could have done without the story. He said it said at the very end that he did this. He wanted to speak out about this because he didn't want people to think that he was turning his back on his city. I think there are other ways to do that than what was done today. Yeah, sure, or maybe just saying, "Hey, Memphis, thanks for the year. Loved my time here. Always love Memphis. Better opportunity. Peace." There are other ways to handle it.
I know Razorback fans could do without having to watch this College World Series. It has to be miserable watching them when they were supposed to be so good this year, and now it's Tennessee and A&M in the finals after LSU, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Vandy, and Florida have all won it lately. If Tennessee wins, the SEC that Arkansas joined, that was 12 teams, remember, in 1992.
Yeah.
You will have teams that have won it in Omaha, Tennessee, South Carolina, Florida, Vandy, LSU, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State. It would leave Arkansas in a group with Kentucky, Bama, Auburn, and Georgia that hadn't won it since Arkansas joined in 92.
Wow.
In that old 12-team setup.
Wow. That's hard to believe. Where are you being tonight?
Rickwood for the celebration of baseball. I'm actually going to be at Baseball at AutoZone Park, but we'll keep an eye on everything at Rickwood, the celebration of Willie Mays and the Negro Leagues and the Cardinals and the Giants. Rickwood was modeled after Forbes Field in Pittsburgh, built in 1910. Tonight will hold about 8,000.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun scene tonight. The festivities just going to start here in a couple of minutes. The first pitch time is set for 6:15, and Brad, this is one of those times that I don't care if they start at 6:15 or not.
This will be like the 1999 All-Star game at Fenway.
Yeah.
Pre-game celebrating Ted Williams was so good, I didn't care if they played the game.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, do the festivities as long as you want.
When Tony Gwynn went out and paid respect to Ted Williams, I didn't care if they played the rest of the night.
Yeah, so it's going to be a fun night. That game going to be on Fox between the Cardinals and the Giants, and really has kind of a night to itself when it comes to sports. Only one other Major League Baseball game, I believe one WNBA game, a CFL game, but though it's not on television
I want
here.
to see how it plays. Will it be hitter-friendly at Rickwood?
That's a good question. I think going to be a windy night down there in Birmingham, so it will be fun to see how that game is played. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.